Let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Good morning, freedom lovers. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Vic.
How are you, baby?
I'm all right.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I totally get that. Boy, do I totally get it. Yeah, I'm all right. You know, because obviously we're all thinking and, putting everything we have behind Israel this morning. But we'll get to that in a bit. First of all, let's get right into it because we've got lots to do today. Rob Bluey is going to start us off from the Daily Signal and from the Heritage Foundation. I'm sure he's got some great insight on what's going on in the Middle East. 9:25 today. Ken, tell me, who was the first person you thought of when these attacks started?
Immediately, Karen Kataline.
Me too. So we said, let's get Karen on, and she sent us an email. It was just so powerful. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Karen at 9:25. 9:41. Back in the day, right? Save the whales. Save the whales.
Yeah.
Now it's like, screw the whales. We're putting wind farms out in the ocean.
You've been saying this before it was even, the first thing we heard about that, you were like, listen to this.
Yeah, right. So author Gabriella Hoffman will tell us what she's found out about that. So Susie Moore. Susie had very short, very powerful tweets over the weekend about all of this. You know, one of them even was, and what she does with us every Friday, plays devil's advocate when she can, and says, well, what about this? Not this time. Not this time.
No.
There's no devil's advocate here because the devil doesn't need an advocate, and he is behind most of this. The Be or Not the Be at 10:25. We've moved that down to make room for Karen Kataline and the East Coast Report from Doug Blair in Washington, D.C. from Salem Media. All right, let's get rolling here. Ken, who's going to lead us in the pledge this morning?
From Francis Howell, we have one of the members of the school board, Jane Pushkar.
Our favorite member of the school board. Go ahead, Jane.
Hi, this is Jane Pushkar from the Francis Howell School Board. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
God bless you, Jane Pushkar. It was windy this weekend.
Yeah.
And something about the American flag just flapping in the breeze like that, just, it makes it all hit home even more for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's a really big flag on Watson Road at the new Deerberg.
Of course, Deerberg says the biggest
darn
flags.
near crosses the road, and
Yeah.
it was beautiful when I was going by it.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, we have to take our first sip. Sorry. Hold on. Our
There
first
you go.
sip brought to you by Discount Coffee. For your favorite coffee delivered right to your home or office. Can you imagine that, just getting your coffee delivered to your home or office? Get 25% off your first order by using the promo code TRUMP. Order now, discountcoffee.com. Okay, Doug Bluey from the Daily Signal and from the Heritage Foundation. Rob, good to be with you. I'm glad we have you.
You said Doug. It's Rob.
I do that all the time. I mix up our first guest and our last guest all the time. Rob Bluey from the Daily Signal and Heritage Foundation. Sorry about that, Rob. How are you?
No worries, Vic, and certainly a somber morning as a weekend of war in the Middle East, has us all rethinking a lot of the obligations that we have as Americans, and our hearts go out to all of the Americans who have been affected by this, friends and family, including the 9 who the Biden administration says whose lives were lost in this fighting. So it's definitely a different moment in Washington this Monday as opposed to past Mondays when we've talked.
Some of the barbaric things that I saw on the internet over the weekend just wanted to make me cry. That girl that's in the back of the truck, right? She's dead in the back of the truck, and they're spitting on her body and, parading her through town. And she's dead because her back leg is in a position that somebody alive would never have their leg in. It turns out she is a German tattoo artist who is an influencer. And she was just at a music festival, Rob, and now she's dead.
Right. It's really shocking. The images of war always are, but in this particular case, to happen so unexpectedly at a time when Israel was celebrating a holiday, almost 50 years to the day after the Yom Kippur War, Vic, and I think there are a whole number of ways we could go with this conversation this morning. But we need to raise the questions, the serious questions about whether or not the Biden administration had a hand in this in terms of emboldening Iran, which obviously has now claimed responsibility for working with Hamas to coordinate and plan this attack on Israel. And the fact that not only during the Obama administration, Biden was vice president, but now during his own administration, the Democrats have done a lot to free up assets and give Iran the financial means in order to carry out terrorism. And so now we're seeing some of the consequences most directly.
So what did we think was going to happen, right? We give Iran $6 billion, and that was all part, if you remember, a trade for Americans being held in Iran, for Iranians being held here. Like that trade wasn't good enough. We had to give them $6 billion too, and they said it was only going to be for humanitarian issues. And Iran even said, we'll use it for whatever we want. And guess what they used it for? To back Hamas, to bomb the hell out of Israel.
Well, and granted, there were conditions on how the money was supposed to be used, but you devote the money that the Biden administration gave them, freed up, toward humanitarian causes, and then you take other money that's in your bank and you use it for terrorism. I mean, Tony Blinken was asked directly about this, and I think was caught pretty flat-footed, realizing that the administration perhaps wasn't in the best position to be answering this type of question. And then, of course, coming just weeks after Jake Sullivan says that the Middle East was the quietest that it's been in a great number of years, just goes to show that there may be not the most coordinated efforts in the part of the White House State Department. But the most important thing right now is to, I think, prepare Americans for the fact that Israel is going to do everything that it can and mount a very long war against Hamas in Gaza. And look, there are other concerns that Israel has, that maybe there are attacks that they'll face from other directions. I mean, they certainly don't have a whole lot of allies in the Middle East, despite the Abraham Accords and other efforts that President Trump took to try to bring peace to that region. But just as we saw Russia invade Ukraine, I think it's another illustration that the Biden administration truly is not up to task when it comes to some of the foreign policy challenges that we face today.
So Anthony Blinken was on ABC over the weekend, and he said he wasn't sure if Iran had anything to do with this, right? That was after Hamas said, yeah, Iran planned the whole thing, right? So dangerous. Going back to the year 2014, Anthony Blinken was nominated by Barack Obama to be the Deputy Secretary of State. John McCain, the late John McCain, had this to say about Blinken.
Madam President, I rise to discuss my opposition to the pending vote concerning Mr. Tony Blinken, who is not only unqualified, but in fact, in my view, one of the worst selections of a very bad lot that this president has chosen. I hope that many of my colleagues will understand that not often do I come to the floor to oppose a nomination of the President of the United States, because I believe that elections have consequences. In this case, this individual has actually been dangerous to America and to the young men and women who are fighting and serving it.
So back then, John McCain knew that Anthony Blinken was a dangerous man.
Yeah, absolutely. He plays a great guitar, though, Vic.
Yeah, right?
If you saw those recent
Being a
clips,
blues fan, that wasn't
is,
really blues he was doing. It was just terrible. Go ahead.
He is absolutely taking the State Department in a direction that appeases the far left of this country. I mean, you could go down the list of failures on the part of Anthony Blinken, but I mean, look, you don't you can go down the list of every one of Biden's cabinet secretaries and question who their what their priorities are and whether or not they're focused on the right thing. And right now you have a situation where I expect Biden to try to defer the blame. I mean, I'm already seeing this morning, for instance, that they're trying to blame Senator Tommy Tuberville because he is blocking the promotion of certain generals because the Pentagon has imposed its illegal abortion policy. You're seeing other efforts to blame Republicans in the House because they are without a speaker at the moment and they won't be able to quickly pass a funding package. I mean, You're seeing the blame that there's no Israel ambassador to Israel right now. Whose fault is that? Chuck Schumer, of course, controls the Senate. Why he's not scheduled to vote is a question that should be asked of him. So they're going to point fingers and try to defer blame anywhere else besides Tony Blinken and some of the other people who truly deserve to be scrutinized for what happened.
I'm glad you brought up Schumer. He and Adam Schiff, right? Two Jewish Americans. How could they have any other thoughts than 100% behind Israel and even condemn people who are out like Rashida Tlaib who support Palestine and this attack on Israel? How can they even do that?
Right, and I mean, we had a Daily Signal reporter in New York over the weekend capturing on film the protest, the pro-Palestine protest that was taking place on the streets there. So, right in Schumer's backyard, it's hard to say. I am grateful that so many world leaders have come out and condemned the attacks and shown their allegiance and support to Israel. Obviously, this was unprovoked. If you see the response from Iran and some of the other countries that are obviously supporting the terrorists, I mean, it just shows the stark contrast that exists in the world today. And there needs to be, I think, a greater effort on the part of this administration. I mean, already there was a briefing just today between some of the State Department officials who were saying that they might not need imminent funding for Israel, but they still need all of that $24 billion for Ukraine. I mean, you're left scratching your head as to there's, obviously this imminent threat that's taking place right there in Israel with this attack, and their mind immediately goes back to Ukraine. So, Vic, I can't explain it. I mean, I think it just goes to show why the American people are growing increasingly disillusioned with this administration and its priorities.
Okay, two quick things I want to fit into a little bit of time here, Rob. One being there were demonstrations over the weekend in New York City, San Francisco, and Chicago supporting Palestine, right? Pro-Palestine demonstrations. And I saw a bunch of kids, because these kids get caught up in this bad messaging, right? They had this big sign that said, "Queers for Palestine." I'm like, good, why don't you take that sign, bring it to Palestine, and see what they do with you, like throw you off a roof. They don't even know what they're saying, these kids.
They don't. I mean, it's just, oh, my goodness. But, Vic, I'm telling you, this goes back a generation, 20 years or more, when I was in college. Every professor that was at the upstate New York college where I went was obviously, a cheerleader for Palestine. I think that there's an entire generation or more of Americans now, especially today's college-age students, who have been brainwashed into this belief that Israel is terrible. I mean, think about the movements on college camp, the anti-Israel movements on so many college campuses that are, supporting the Palestinians. I mean, it is something that they are fed from the moment they show up, and so it's not surprising that they would have such a, confused sign with no realization that the Palestinians have no tolerance for that type of behavior, and you're absolutely right, would do terrible things to them were they, in their midst. So I don't know. I mean, it just goes to the problem that we've talked about many times before, with the education system in this country and what our children are being taught.
All right. Unfortunately, just about a minute or so left, Rob, but guess who was in Israel attending a bar mitzvah, had to run from gunfire and rocket fire and escape and be rescued from Israel? New York Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman. Huh. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, but I think that this just goes to show that, I mean, this is why there are so many. This is one of the distinctions that makes the Israel situation different. First of all, there were Americans taken hostage and killed. And there's this great and long-standing relationship that exists between the two countries as allies. And Israel, despite the fact that we support the Ukrainians, does not have the corruption problems, or the other issues. I realize that the Democrats don't like Benjamin Netanyahu, But the country obviously needs the United States support and full backing right now.
Just weird that Dan Goldman found himself in the middle of, rocket fire like Hillary Clinton had to dodge. Remember, she had to dodge the bullets when she's getting off the plane. And Brian Williams made some kind of false claim, lost his job at NBC News. And now here's Dan Goldman. Oh, my God, I had to be rescued. And by the way, New Jersey Congressman Cory Booker was in Israel, too, over the weekend. He had to be rescued.
Right.
He was there. Listen to this. He was there to talk about the Abraham Accords. What is he going to say about the Abraham Accords that don't include the words Donald Trump?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It makes me nuts.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see Trump out there and correctly noting the steps that his administration took to secure peace in the region. And now you have to wonder, how does this peace deal that Biden was trying to negotiate between Saudi Arabia and Israel pan out? Right. I mean, that's certainly got to be on ice right now.
Exactly right. Rob Bluey, Daily Signal, Heritage Foundation, thank you so much, sir. We knew we can count on you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vic. Have a great day.
Thanks, Rob.
Dan Goldman just happened to be in Israel. Ken, this is one of those times when you say, that's weird.
That's really weird.
Weird how?
Weird.
It's weird. Douglas Blair will get the inside the Beltway look at this whole mess at 10:41 from him. The be or not the be at 10:25. Susie Moore visibly upset on Twitter over the weekend about this whole Israeli thing. Save the whales! Save the whales! Nah, screw the whales. We need wind farms off the Atlantic coast. Gabriella Hoffman will talk to us about that. She's from CFACT. And coming up next, the one person I wanted to talk to the most today, and that was our great Jewish friend, Karen Kataline. And she's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
We all know that caring for a loved one is stressful. If that loved one is also in need of long-term care, that can not only be stressful, it could break the bank, to be quite honest. So if you know somebody, or if you are caring for a loved one with long-term care, those costs are going to add up quickly, $60,000 to $70,000. That's if you're at home. In a facility, $100,000 or more. My question to you is, can your savings withstand that kind of extra expense, right? Fortunately, News Talk STL listeners have the great benefit of Chris Cooper with Serenity Wealth Management, CPA, financial strategist, and long-term care planning specialist, and he can help you. He can show you great ways to use those hard-earned assets to fund the quality of care you deserve and to keep up the lifestyle that you are used to. He's got a free book for you, absolutely free book. It's called The CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You can get it for free at SerenityLTC.com. SerenityLTC.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Simplicity Wealth, LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. This is a paid endorsement. Insurance, consulting, and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Serenity Now!
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get ready for winter by making sure your family is warm and safe when the bone-chilling weather gets here. Mike Ferguson here for Anton's Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Energy Experts. Call them today to get your furnace tune-up. It's only $89, and it could save you hundreds or even thousands by preventing a breakdown. 314-338-3941 or AntonsHVAC.com. Anton's installed our HVAC system, and we love it. Put their expertise and excellent customer service to work for you, just like they did for my house. AntonsHVAC.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
But I'm not going to turn my dial off for you guys. I really like this channel.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so, he's definitely Italian.
On News Talk STL.
And let me tell you, this Italian loves this Jew. She is Karen Kataline, somebody I thought about all weekend long. The first name that popped into my head was you, Karen Kataline, and I know you're upset this morning, and I want to thank you for taking time to being with us on today's show.
You know, Vic and Ken, you guys truly, I don't care radio or no radio, you guys are absolutely the best. I am honored and flattered that you would call me. I think words seem inadequate, and I've been, not sure how to, what I can say that's significant or important or under such circumstances, but I really am grateful to both of you.
Well, let me
thank you.
Let me tell you something, okay? There is a certain amount of empathy that can come from Ken or me to what's going on, but nothing like the empathy you can feel for what's going on today.
Well, yes and no, because of course I love the Jewish people, but I love America too. And for people who may not get the significance of what's going on right now, it is so much bigger. It is about Israel. It is about a lot of things. It is massive in its significance, but it is so much bigger than just about the Jewish people. And in fact, that's been the history, is that Israel and the Jews have always been the canaries in the mine shaft. Always.
Yep.
When evil comes after Jews and Israel, it comes after everybody else.
And
after that.
no-
And people know that in their gut, and it is extremely unsettling.
No coincidence whatsoever that this attack happened 50 years, almost to the exact day of the Yom Kippur War beginning. So clearly some planning going on that's been going on for quite a while with this attack.
Oh, yes. There was also another holiday that a friend reminded me of, that to be sealed in the Book of Life after Yom Kippur, I didn't know that really is after the holiday of Sukkot, which I believe had just happened when this happened. Yes, it was planned. It's clear you don't do a surprise attack, that isn't well planned. And it breaks my heart to say this. I've been thinking a lot about what can I say. I'm no expert on Israel politics or policy. I would very much encourage people to go. I reposted Victor Davis Hanson's piece on Twitter, and nobody could say it better than him. But this was my thought. America, this is unprecedented. Never, beyond my lifetime and since the inception of Israel, has what is happening now happened. It's never, ever happened. And that is, America has betrayed and abandoned Israel, as it has betrayed and abandoned the citizens in this country. And that is really what I see is the, I guess, the crux of the matter. I mean, people are talking, and this is always at the beginning of something like this. You don't find out for decades. Sometimes you never find out. But people know in their gut that we have been pro-terrorist and enabling terrorists for a long time. Weapons from Afghanistan that were just left there. Gee, you think it was an accident? Nobody thought it was an accident. Ended up in these people's arsenal. The level of barbarism is unspeakable. Even in war, there have been some kind of principles, but we are in an era in which a small minority are poisoning our principles. They're degrading decency. They're inverting morality. They're cheering debauchery. That has consequences. And for those of us who have the curse of awareness, that is why we've been so worried, because of what we are watching right now. It gives us no pleasure to be right. I wish I had been wrong, but those kinds of things have consequences. And anyway, I only wish I could say something significant.
I think you have.
I think the propaganda war is almost sometimes as deadly as the weapons war. It is always huge. And as soon as I heard it, I just knew that when Israel fought back, they would be blamed for not having a commensurate response. Did they do that in Ukraine? Of course, Victor Davis Hanson talks about that. But I would just, if I could say anything, don't believe a word of this propaganda. Know what you know in your gut. That's all we can do, is know and hold fast to the principles that they want to destroy, because therein lies the truth.
And Karen, we do try to empathize with the people of Israel and what they're going through right now. I'm sure most Americans, and I mean a vast most Americans, are trying to put their own families in that situation, imagining that and just being horrified. And I want to ask you, do you think that it's bringing out a lot of these anti-Semites, not only in the public, but just, as leaders.
In Congress.
In Congress, because you have, for example, Ilhan Omar, she put out this statement saying, we appreciate the Israeli people. And then all these other people that responded to her gave a bunch of different tweets that she had put in the past demeaning Israelis and being a complete anti-Semite. And that is, I think, the message that they're trying to cover up.
Yeah, and they're doing a lousy job of it.
Yeah.
I think also that there's a lot of parallels. Our administration, as I said, has betrayed and abandoned Israel. I don't even think this would be happening if they didn't get some kind of green light. Iran and Hamas and all of these groups didn't get encouragement, incitement, support, and a green light from the anti-Israel, anti-freedom wing of the Democrat Party, which is, sorry, a lot of them. But America has always supported Israel for the most part, and that remains to be the case. And in fact, I think the parallel is that is similar to what's going on in this country. America has been not only pro-Israel, but pro-freedom. And yet we are being governed against the will of the people. We are watching force, we're watching unconstitutionality, we're watching censorship, all of those things. Most Americans, I've told you before, I think it's a 70-30 country. And so it is with America's support for Israel. The people haven't turned against Israel, and they haven't turned against America. It's up to the people to stand up. I know that sort of sounds like a platitude. I know that's not easy, but we are standing up for ourselves as well. So you got to stand up for what's right, because, when in history, when has there not been a time when tyrants ruled over good and decent people? And how they, forgive me, I'm,
That's why we had you on, Karen. Stop it, go.
How they can defend in any way, shape, or form the level of barbarism and bigotry. So people are being murdered and tortured and raped because they're Jews, because they're Israelis. Once upon a time, these Democrats used to be against that. And now they are so filled with bloodthirsty hatred in the name of anti-racism that they can't see how brainwashed they've been. That's also heartbreaking to me. Yeah. That people, and it is not accidental that Hillary is calling her political enemies in a cult when they are the ones in the cult.
Ed story.
And I've been fascinated my whole life about what it is that helps people break out of that zombie mindset. And that's where we are today. It's not for the faint of heart.
All right. We're talking to Karen Kataline, one of our absolute favorite people in the world. First name that jumped into my head and Ken's head. Let's fit a couple of more quick things in here, Karen.
And real quick, Vic, I just want to say that one of our listeners, Ed Stoit, he said we're praying for you, Karen.
Yeah, everybody's on your side, Karen.
Pray for America. Pray for Israel. Pray for good and good to triumph over evil. I'm not saying Israel is all good. I'm saying what is happening now is as black and white as you're ever going to see it.
Right. All right, that wasn't
And
one of
they
the two
will
things.
try to change the narrative. I promise you, they will.
So 3 things. I have 2 things. That wasn't one of them. Okay, so
So sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Ken just wanted you to know that the people listening to the show are behind you and they love you too. So,
I love them. I
the,
love them.
The comparison between 9/11 and this, I'm not sure people on the left understand that, but the per capita thing. Can you explain why this is worse than 9/11 here in America?
Well, I mean, I didn't look at the numbers. It's too horrific. But you're talking about a country in America with over 300 million people. So per capita, the number of people that have been already killed, I haven't seen the latest numbers. It's that. It was a surprise attack. It's an attack on civilians, which, as I say, used to be the line in the sand. No more. There are no more lines. So, yes, it is theirs, their 9/11. And again, this is somewhat of the propaganda war. The thing that is so horrific is the barbarism. I mean, murder is murder, but sometimes, I don't know, it's unspeakable. That's why I can't speak it.
That's okay. So some of the numbers, this is now a couple of days ago. These numbers are bigger, but let's just take these numbers from a couple of days ago. 600 people killed. That's the equivalent of 18,000 in the United States.
Yeah, because guess what? There's last I checked, about 6 million Jews. Where have I heard that number before? 6 million Jews in Israel.
Brilliant. All right, final thing. Because, people on the left, people that want to support Palestine for some ungodly reason. Oh, well, Israel, they kill Palestinians and they do this to Palestine and this and that. Let me tell you, the military power you're watching this morning in the retaliation from Israel is they are a mighty country when it comes to their military power. They've had that military power all along and never used it. So now they're using it. And here, I just want to leave you with this because my wife loves you too.
Good point.
And she said, and I know you'll know this comes from respect when this all happened. She said, "Don't you mess with the Jews." Because Israel fights back, right? I invite everybody to watch the movie Munich when Israel got all those Arab terrorists that killed the entire Israeli team in 1972. Don't mess with the Jews, my wife said. So she's on your side too.
Well, pray. In whatever faith you have, pray for this country, for good to triumph over evil, whatever that turns out to be. And many people believe that God was with the Jews on the Yom Kippur War and others. Yeah. Otherwise, they could never, ever have prevailed, and yet they did.
All right, so this conversation is not in lieu of Thursday. We can still talk on Thursday, right?
If you want.
Of course I do, yeah.
Okay, as my husband would say, ow, 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 twist my arm.
Stop it, you're hurting me, you brute.
You brute.
Karen, thank you so much.
Love you both. Take care.
Thanks,
right
Karen.
back at you, baby. I can't imagine what she's feeling right now. You and I, we have an empathy for this. Nothing like she can have right now.
Well, we can sympathize. I mean, empathy is coming from a different place, but we try.
You know what? You're absolutely right.
We try so hard, and what I meant to say was, Ed Stoy wanted Karen to know that we're praying for Israel.
Absolutely right, and we all are. All right, boy, busy Monday today. My gosh, Doug Blair from Salem Media. Maybe we should call him Rob Blair because I keep calling Rob Bluey Doug Bluey. He's at 10:41. The be or not to be at 10:25. Susie Moore at 10:05. Coming up next, forget about the whales. We hate the whales. Wind farms, more important. CFACT's Gabriella Hoffman will join us next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China.
Made in St. Louis, for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Monday, we'll have the latest on speaker stakes with former U.S. Senator Jim Talent at 4:25. Red State Update, Susie Moore, 5:25.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
We all know the healthcare system's broken. It's not about you. It's about the code, the bill, the 7-minute appointment. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I've developed a better way that restores old-fashioned values with a holistic approach to your healthcare. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting, relationship-based healthcare experience, give us a look at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Our mission is to provide exceptional, accessible, and truly affordable care where the focus is on you, not insurance denial and cookbook medicine experts. And with your membership, there's a number of perks, including hundreds of free meds, in-office ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
This hour of the Vic Porcelli Show brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
You're funny. Well, I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh. What do you mean funny?
You're listening to the Missouri Broadcasters Association Air Talent of the Year. This is the Vic Porcelli Show.
All right, good morning. Welcome home to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Vic Porcelli. That's the award winner you just heard about, Ken Williams over there on the other side of the board. The East Coast Report from Doug Blair from Salem Media coming up at the end of the show today. The B or not the B, we usually do it at 9:25, but we wanted to get Karen on as quickly as we possibly could, so we moved the B down to 10:25 because we're not going to let anybody steal that fun feature from our friend Paul Kurtman. By the way, I feel like writing him, tweeting at him, something, calling him and saying, are we doing it justice? Are we doing it as good as you did it? Because I didn't think we could do it as good as he did it. Anyway,
We'll find out.
Let's find out what he thinks.
And today I think we're going to have two guests, two listeners to play the game.
What, it's team week?
Yes.
It's best friend week?
It's best
like
friend
on the Wheel
week.
of Fortune?
Yes.
You're going to have to keep score then.
Okay.
Okay. Because I can't do all this myself.
You and I are both real good numbers guys.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Math.
Yeah, right.
No doubt. Mr. Math. And right now, so remember back in the day, Ken, save the whales.
Yeah.
Right? They would line up with their signs, save the whales. Now that the green agenda is made by the same political party and ideology as save the whales, now wind farms are more important. So screw the whales, kill the whales. We hate the whales. Let's talk to Gabriella Hoffman. She's from CFACT and a great author as well. Gabriella, thanks for being with us. How you doing?
Good morning, gentlemen. Good to talk to you about this interesting topic.
Was my analysis pretty much right on, or what?
It was to a T. Perfect. Absolutely. Yeah, we see a disconnect between these people who claim to purport to save the whales, want to save biodiversity, preserve the environment. But when it comes to their clean energy agenda, so to speak, all is at the table. All doesn't matter. You know, they are more beholden to net zero, which is unreasonable, unobtainable goals. You know, a very costly transition, very bad for the environment too. And whales be danged, you know, who cares about the whales? You perfectly said it correctly. And more people, I think, are waking up to the hypocrisy and the paradoxes inset in the so-called green agenda policies. They see the carnage potentially, and they see that the administration is authorizing what they call incidental harassment takes or authorization permits. So companies that green energy companies or Ørsted or, you know, big offshore wind producers and manufacturers, they can take these so-called kill permits. And as long as they take them, they could be washed of any sin that their projects create. It's heinous. And a normal environmentalist would be up in arms and upset and mortified about this. There are a few groups there. There is a Save the Right Whales coalition. A few groups, they're not, you know, multi-billion dollar operations. But you see some environmentalists saying, whoa, this is very questionable. But the main groups like a Sierra Club, Natural Resources Defense Council, Center for Biological Diversity, they're nowhere to be found because they prioritize wind and net zero over sanity in this case.
Where's Greenpeace? Where are they? Where's Greenpeace now? Nowhere to be found, right?
Nowhere to be found. I think they are bought off. That's what we can surmise from their silence on the issue.
Well, you know what? That's funny because the left is on both sides of these issues, right? They were the Save the Whales people, and now they're the wind farm people, the green energy people. So it's like, well, we got to find Greenpeace and say, just shut up a little bit about the whales for a little while. I don't put that past them. Do you?
No, you would think so, and actually people forget that the discovery of crude oil in Pennsylvania actually led to abandoning the slaughter of whales because, as everyone recalls in history, we used to use whale blubber for energy, burn it, in that case. But now, since the discovery and modernization of energy consumption, that's been reliable, and we still are pretty reliant on it, fossil fuels, so to speak, are consumed and produced 80%, it's really hard to get rid of this. And it really did help save the whales back in the day when it was first discovered and people began to transition to that and use more civilized methods of energy and, electricity production. But it's interesting. We're reverting to either the past or into a really tenuous, problematic future where these so-called renewable projects are not properly vetted. Nobody's questioning the size and scope of the projects, how much of existing conventional energy will be used to back this up, how much land would be destroyed if it's onshore, how much, marine life would be destroyed offshore, what it'll do to recreational and commercial fishing access as it relates to offshore. And even though the administration has said, well, this is all misinformation if you criticize, offshore wind, there are different surrogates. And one of the top NOAA fisheries scientists, Sean Hayes, wrote in a letter in May 2022, he said offshore wind will have deleterious effects on these rare endangered North Atlantic right whales. They're not listening to him. They're not listening to others who have said that there are some impacts, level A and level B harassments that come through these tests that are going on, the construction of these wind farms. And they'll have to answer for this. I hope that there is, and we've heard inklings and chatter of hearings that are supposed to be happening. I'm not sure how soon because we don't currently have a Speaker of the House, and the House of Representatives is currently not in operation because of that situation. But if they come back together and they do get a new Speaker of the House, perhaps we will see some hearings calling in these surrogates, these eyewitnesses, these whistleblowers to come and talk about what the administration is doing here. And it's not just about the whale component. It's unfortunate that the whales have been the only facet of this to really bring more attention and opposition. This is just one of the consequences, but there are so many other effects that offshore wind development will have to the shoreline, to marine life, to fish, to so many different things. And that's what we highlighted in our recent Conservation Nation episode that we released last week. And it's not just about the whales. They're just one component. But people forget, so much of the coastline will be destroyed with those ugly eyesores. Then you're also going to see different industries that have relied on ocean access. Like I said, both recreational and commercial fishing interests, they're going to lose that access. Then it's going to make us more reliant on, foreign companies for seafood or foreign interests for other needs, that can be fulfilled by American companies that rely on ocean access to procure different products and services. So it's a can of worms that they're opening. They're ignoring the tall tale signs, and the whales are just one of the first indicators. There will be more, but if they're not interested in saving the whales now, what will stop this agenda? I think inflation, they're realizing that subsidies do not help keep these projects alive, so maybe that'll help people to oppose this.
Right. The whales, I think, are just the best example to prove the hypocrisy because they were all, protesting to save the whales so many years ago. I agree with everything you said for sure, but, let's put the whales back in their face like they tried to put it in our face years ago.
Yep.
We're talking to Gabriella Hoffman. She's one of the co-authors of Young Conservative and Why It's Smart to Be Like Us. I am old conservative. You are young conservative. So the new Green Deal, let's talk about that a little bit because that's what this is all about, right? The wind farms. And by the way, a staggering number of wind farms, 3,000 off the Atlantic coast spanning 2.3 million acres. The new Green Deal, they want to push this new Green Deal when we were not ready for it, if we agree with it or not ready for anything like this. You know, with electric cars, they didn't think about how expensive they were going to be. The batteries are going to be so expensive. I guess my point is we're trying to make a sandwich and we don't have any bread. We're just not ready to do this, and not enough research to say, what are these wind farms going to do, like everything you said? Why aren't they looking into this? It's not my job. I'm not doing it. I'm too busy, Gabriella.
That's the problem with the short-sightedness of having this hasty desire to go net zero. This is what really undergirds this agenda, the Green New Deal. This is a Green New Deal. I wouldn't say it's overtly passed, but there are tenets of it that are, evident through the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which was the biggest climate bill. It's not an inflation reducer. It's actually bolstered and exacerbated inflation with increasing energy-related costs up and down, the pipeline for consumers and producers. And this is what is to be expected because they can't anticipate the effects long-term. They say, we need to do this now. We have an urgency now. And when they're pressed and questioned upon what are the long-term effects, they say, well, if you question it, you're a denier. You are a flat earther. And scientific inquiry and debate over this, especially technology we're told is going to be great for us, that's not ready for prime time, it requires robust debate. These people do not want to have the debate. And there's increasing amount of evidence showing that these so-called, revolutionary technologies are unsustainable and they can't be scaled up. Maybe in a small amount you could work with them, but to fully replace coal, oil, and natural gas, it's impossible. That'll never happen, especially in our lifetimes. And it goes to show that this philosophy of, decarbonize everything, it won't work, and it'll cause untold amounts of environmental ruin, economic destruction. And it's not ready for prime time. It's a matter of forcing behaviors on consumers. This is what the environmental, social, and governance movement requires and basically mandates. Even though it's an investment philosophy, you see tenets of ESG through all of Biden's directives, all of Biden's clean energy policies. It talks about sustainability and social, and we're going to have good governance, and everyone's going to be on board and support a net zero policy from the corporate boardrooms to government. And this is what you're having, and the public and consumers, by extension, are seeing this, and they're like, we don't want this. It's not reliable. It's costly. It's terrible for the environment. It's backed by subsidies. This is not a market demand dictating this. If this was market innovation, we wouldn't be seeing, this fail to come to fruition. Billions upon billions in subsidies propping up these projects, yet also not keeping them alive. So this is not a market innovation. This is not the market foretelling positive effects of these so-called, innovative technologies. They're highly questioning. And if we're talking about, let's say, the future of something that could be a replacement, perhaps nuclear could be a part of the discussion down the road. That's the only one feasibly that can, have a 24/7 base load. It requires less amount of land. It's very safe when monitored and executed to, with the highest quality of monitoring and all. But they don't want to have the conversation about nuclear. But for the time as it is, and I think for the long haul, this whole push to abandon coal, oil, and natural gas is going to come back to bite this administration. And they're seeing this play out right now. And I think the public and consumers are realizing this, and they're growing skeptical. And they see that net zero is unfeasible and impractical and dangerous.
When do we see the conservatives, maybe not conservatives who aren't members of Congress or the Senate, but certainly Republicans have a hard time with narratives. Like the left just seem to be able to carry a narrative, even though it's a lie. How long do we let them say that the world is going to end in 10 years, 12 years, the ice caps are going to melt? At what point do we say, wait a minute, none of that is true, so you got to stop what you're doing? When do we do that?
I think people have been doing this. I've been going around the country to universities, and I've talked about what true environmentalism is. It's conservation, although the left has misinterpreted and misconstrued what that means to mean preservation or this net zero, anti-human, anti-management, wise management of natural resources agenda. But people have begun to or continue to fight back. It's not something that people are just realizing. It's just those voices are now getting more notice. One of my colleagues at CFACT, Mark Marano, has talked about this environmental extremism, about the net zero pushes, and now people are catching on to his work. And so he's properly being rewarded for his reports and his kind of explanations into things. There are many, many people who have spoken out against this. They just were dismissed as alarmists or cranks
Kooks,
or dismissed by kooks. But their stuff has come true, the predictions and their research. And it's not taking anything out of the ordinary. It's taking their, their musings, their writings, their tweets. Like we're using their words against them, but then we're accused of being misinformers and misrepresenting their words. It's right there available for the taking to be interpreted. And yet they say any questioning of their own musings is somehow denialist. But no, I think it's incumbent upon your listeners, all of us, to be able to educate. Like I said, my little effort is I'm talking about conservation. I talk about how hunting and fishing actually primarily fuel most environmental stewardship projects. The proof is in the pudding there. The people who they say are the biggest despoilers of lands, they're actually the best protectors and preservers of land, even while maintaining their livelihood. Also, similarly applied to farmers, ranchers as well. The people who they lambast as the worst despoilers of the environment are actually the best stewards. And these people who, have a big platform, they rarely touch grass. They rarely go to national parks. They don't live off the land. They're very disconnected, especially here in the Ocala corridor. They're virtue signaling. They have no familiarity and proximity to the land that they claim to care about. They go into different states and disturb conservation practices and interfere with oil production or wildlife management, forest management, all that. And so I think we have to point out their hypocrisy and say that these people don't care about the environment and again, point to their loose ends and point to their hypocrisies with clean energy. They don't question that. And they're fine with subsidies and they're fine with destroying high habitat and converting so-called low habitat into better habitat. And that's impossible to do. And if, let's say, an oil and gas company did that, there would be so much outrage over such a notion, but they get a free pass. But they're not getting a free pass much anymore. And I've been very keen with my work with CFACT and other groups that I work with to expose the hypocrisies. I hope other journalists and media people listening or who see this hypocrisy are doing it as well. But it's all incumbent upon us to fight back. And you can fight back positively and energetically and enthusiastically. And I haven't really received any protests in opposition to my work. I present a fairly academic thing, and the students are very interested in, even among conservative audiences, you have to educate the kids because some of them subscribe to climate alarmism too. So we just have to be better.
All right, award-winning writer, journalist, and media strategist, Gabriella Hoffman from CFACT. Get her at Gabby_Hoffman. Great stuff. Keep up the fight and update us from time to time, please, okay?
Thank you for having me. I'll be back on anytime.
All right, great. Boy, Ken, she's right on everything.
Every bit of it, yep.
I can't believe universities actually let her speak.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, news for 5 minutes, then we're back on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Colombo and Katie.
Once I don't have to be here every day, I don't know that I'm ever coming back to the city of St. Louis. Oh, yeah. I mean, I probably will for a baseball game or a Blues game or something like that. Yeah, I love the development. I love that people are still trying to bet on the city. But the thing is, the city leadership is not betting on the city. The city leadership, they are not putting any effort into public safety.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. Amit Thomason. An Israeli military official describes the terrorist assault on the Jewish state as a 9/11 and a Pearl Harbor wrapped into one. At least 1,200 people have been killed so far, thousands wounded in a devastating blow for Israel.
It's a small country. Proportionally speaking, it's something like 10 or 11 times what America lost on 9/11.
Dr. Michael Oren, a former deputy minister for diplomacy in the Israeli Prime Minister's office. The U.S. is coming to Israel's aid, sending military assets, munitions, and heavy arms to its longtime ally. But the Biden administration is facing Republican criticism that the president is partially to blame for the deadly attack on Israel.
Several 2024 GOP presidential hopefuls point to Joe Biden's recent decision to release $6 billion in blocked Iranian funds to free 5 detained Americans. But the White House pushed back fiercely against the GOP criticism, noting that the unfrozen money has yet to be spent by Iran and can only be used for humanitarian needs.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. A short time ago, the European Union announced it is immediately suspending aid payments to the Palestinians. Mack truck union workers have gone on strike.
In a letter to Volvo Trucks, the parent company for Mack, United Auto Workers Union President Sean Fain says that results of a count on Sunday found 73% of workers voted against a tentative 5-year contract agreement. Mack Trucks President Stephen Roy says the company is surprised and disappointed that the union chose to strike.
Correspondent Jennifer King. The UAW represents about 4,000 Mack workers in Florida, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. On Wall Street this hour, the Dow is down 123 points, the Nasdaq off 119. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Donald Trump warned America. The U.S. dollar is under attack, and it's becoming less and less valuable by the day. Hyperinflation and speculation is killing your retirement. Don't leave your money sitting in cash. It's time you diversified and protected your future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 and get your free digital dollar survival kit and learn how you could get up to $1,000 in free silver today. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 to get your free digital dollar survival kit. And you may qualify for $1,000 in free silver. Advantage Gold is the #1 rated gold and silver company in America. Your future is precious. Protect it today when you call Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Check with your financial advisor before investing.
That's 800-900.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Coming out of a stellar fall weekend, autumn is still in the driver's seat today. Mostly sunny and dry. High of about 69 this afternoon. That's just a few degrees cooler than normal for this time of year. Tonight, clear, back down into the 40s, low 46 in St. Louis. Tuesday, another beautiful day. Sunshine, a high of 72. Looks like we've got 2 shots at rain this week, one on Wednesday, another on Friday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so, he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
All right, welcome home and welcome back to another hour on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Vic Porcelli. That's the great Ken Williams on the other side there. Douglas Blair will give us the East Coast report, see if there's any inside the Beltway inside information he's got for us on these attacks on Israel and the counterattack by Israel. Lots to talk about today. The be or not the be at 10:25. Somebody tried to steal it. We're stealing it back, and right now it's time for Smoothie Q.
No,
no, that's okay. Susie, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
We wanted to
y'all having me on.
we wanted to pull out all the big guns. We had Karen Kataline on earlier today, and you moved me this weekend with your tweets. I want to tell you that's why I wanted to have you on.
Well, I appreciate that. I obviously was sharing a lot of my thoughts about everything that's been going on pretty openly on Twitter, so I appreciate that.
Of course. And, you brought up something I want to bring up just very quickly, and that is you said you love to be the devil's advocate. God knows you do it on my show every Friday, but not that there's anything wrong with that. But now you said you just can't. You just can't do that devil's advocate commentary.
I can't. I mean, and that's actually the point of more to the point today is that's my training. I'm trained to look at things from both sides or multiple sides and kind of make the other side's argument. And this is one of those instances where I will freely admit I am heavily biased, but I can't do it. I can't find it in me to in any way take the position of people who are supporting Hamas or of Hamas itself.
Right.
I can be empathetic. I can be sympathetic to people who are living in the area and who are kind of sort of stuck there and don't really have a whole lot of choice or say in the matter. I am empathetic to innocence, if you will, but beyond that, no, I can't see it.
6 minutes ago, Susie Moore tweeted, "My ability to be patient with people actualing me today is less than zero." Some of the things that I've heard people say, the pro-Palestine, the free Palestine crap that you see, they don't really get it, you know? I brought this up earlier today. There were demonstrations in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and then two girls holding up a sign that said Queers for Palestine. I'm like, great. Go bring that sign over there and see how they treat you.
Yeah, let's see how that works out for you.
Right. So what do you think? I mean, you know, Israel, a state that is our only ally in the Mideast, surrounded by enemies, countries like Iran say they want to wipe Israel off the map. It's got to be just tough to be there right now, to live there.
No doubt about it. And I know people who live there, and I know people who live there who I am not sure where they are right now. It is unquestionable. It's tough to be there, and it's tough to be here and have loved ones and people you care about that are there. And there's still so much. I mean, this is what's happened over the weekend is horrific, but unfortunately, I think it's only the beginning of a long and very painful chapter in our history. And I mean, I don't have any patience for people who are like, you know, because they think it's cool or trendy, taking the pro-Palestinian side. I do understand that there are people who are genuinely pro-Palestine because that's their heritage and they believe that they're in the right. I don't agree with them at all, but I at least understand that. But the people that like, because this is the cool, you know, trendy thing to do, yeah, I have no patience for that whatsoever. And I also don't have patience for people who are like, trying to lecture me about what's really going on here and who the bad guys are. It's like, I'm aware. Right. I am fully aware. I'm saying I don't abide it.
Hey, Susie, I've been hearing a lot about Iran helped the plot to attack Israel over the last several weeks. I've also heard something, and I'm researching it because I don't know the details or if it's even true, but I wonder if you've heard this, that Pakistan actually helped train some of the Hamas military.
I haven't heard that, but it wouldn't shock me because there are Hamas training camps, or at least there were, just south of our border. So for them to be operating in Pakistan, too, wouldn't be at all surprising.
Wow.
You know, okay, I'll bring it up. We talked about the devil's advocate that you're so good at doing. I just thought it was weird. Dan Goldman, the biggest liar in Congress, I'm not saying that he wasn't there. I'm not saying he wasn't there for a bar mitzvah, but I do think he might have exaggerated the truth on how he had to, like, duck, you know, fire while he was trying to be rescued and brought home.
Well, I can't speak to that specifically as far as whether or not, you know, to how close they were to the fire and how close they were to being in harm's way. I think I commented on this in chat too. As somebody with Jewish family members and a number of close acquaintances and friends who either live in Israel or regularly travel there, his being there with his family for a bar mitzvah is not at all surprising or weird or in any way, shape, or form. He's Jewish. He is a person of means. They undoubtedly have family members and friends there. So for them to have traveled there, that is a regular occurrence by people in that community. No question about it.
I totally get that.
Yeah. And so that part of it isn't weird to me. I don't know specifically where they were at the moment that everything started going down, but I know many people who had to shelter in place. I know many people who were in harm's way, if not directly being shot at over the past 72 hours. So this is one instance where, as much as I can't stand Dan Goldman, I really can't, and he makes me so mad sometimes I just want to wring his neck. I'm not going to question him on this one.
Okay. You know, I trust you on that. And I want you to see my point that if it was anyone else, if it were Chuck Schumer, if it were even Adam Schiff, I would have said okay. But Dan Goldman can't tell the truth if it's slapping him in the face. So we'll see. It's fine. I totally trust you, Susie. Totally. All right. So here's my question to you. As this started to unfold over the weekend, we saw actual Palestinians demonstrating, having parades. You have stupid Americans who, like you said, want to be the hipsters and say, oh, yeah, free Palestine. I like the way that sounds. I'll support that in San Francisco and Chicago and New York. So I said to my wife, how close is this coming to home, right? How many Hamas or Hezbollah or Iranians snuck through the border ready for an attack on us?
We know of 151 minimum this year alone.
Hamas members?
On the FBI terror watch list.
Wow.
So some may be Hamas, some may be Hezbollah, some may be other terrorist organizations, but we know of that alone just fiscal year 2023. So the fact that realistically quite a few more than that. We know that they've got training camps just across the border. We know that just as they hate Israel, they hate the United States. So I mean, the reality is that they're here. And there are probably, plans afoot to do evil here as well, and so people need to be on their guard. And
they're calling this Israel's 9/11. I agree.
Legitimately so.
Totally agree. And I just the planning that went into this, right? No accident, obviously, that it happened on almost exactly the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, right?
Right.
The sophistication of the military equipment that they had, the amount of planning that went into this, $6 billion that went to Iran, who said, we will do anything we want with that money, even though Anthony Blinken will tell you, no, they'll only use it for humanitarian stuff. It just scares me, and that these protests are going on closer and closer to us. Canada had a bunch of actual Palestinians demonstrating and protesting over the weekend. It's just getting dangerously close to us, and I hope we're ready, I guess I'm saying.
I hope we're ready, but I want to address a couple of things that you said. Number one, we've had pro-Palestinian parades and marches in St. Louis. I used to work downtown, as you know. My office building looked out over Washington Avenue, and I don't remember what year it was, there was some big dust-up going on between the Israeli forces and Hamas and that sort of thing. And there was a major pro-Palestinian rally that went on downtown.
That's
so it's here too.
Yeah.
I want to believe that our intelligence apparatus, as distracted as it has been lately about, checking out school board, parents and that sort of thing, is at least got enough of an eye on the ball to recognize this as the wake-up call that it is. And the fact that neither the Israeli intelligence community nor the U.S. intelligence community picked up on this is scary, but they better be scrambling. I mean, all hands better be on deck, and they better figure out what went wrong real quick.
So I guess that leads us to the failure of intelligence on Israel's part, and maybe partly on our part, right? Don't we have intelligence people around the world that could have said, hey, Benjamin Netanyahu, they're going to plan this, you better be ready for it?
Yeah, we do, and there were warnings that were being sent out. I mean, I retweeted Trey Yingst, who's been reporting for Fox News all weekend long on this. He's over there. I mean, he shared there were warnings kind of along these lines that were known in public 45 days ago, 39 days ago. And so why this didn't – I mean, what it speaks to in one respect is that most of the planning for this probably did not occur in Gaza. Because it is so closely monitored by the Israeli intelligence community. So that's why another reason to believe that Iran was probably heavily involved in it. This was not planned in Gaza. And maybe the people that were on the ground that actually went in and went swarming over the border were not in the know until towards the very end. But there's no way that this was planned and conceived of and originated out of Gaza. So the one thing that people need to keep in mind is, at all times, there are people in the intelligence community that are supposed to be monitoring these things. So for there to have been, first of all, open messaging that this was, open source messaging that this was potentially in the works, but not enough information to at least be on guard. I don't know. I do think that Israel has probably in the past few years had its own issues with, distractions, internal fighting. Obviously, there's been a power struggle going back and forth for quite a while. They're in a lot of ways caught up in the whole woke DEI stuff too. So they're taking their eye off the ball, and unfortunately, it's cost them greatly. And like I said before, I mean, if they're not scrambling, and if the U.S. intelligence community isn't scrambling and getting right on this, then I don't even know what to say.
You mentioned Trey Yingst. That poor guy, he's always, ducking gunfire on his assignments. Like at the Fox News desk, they spin the wheel of assignments. Okay, who's going to be in the most dangerous part of the wheel? Let's spin the wheel. Oh, Trey, it's you again.
Trey.
I really feel bad for him. He's always right there ducking gunfire. He's got his thing on that says press, which is not bulletproof. It just says press. That's not going to save his life. All right. So Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor in this administration, was bragging, right, just this week about how the Mideast is quieter today than it's been in 2 decades.
And what we said is we want to depressurize, de-escalate, and ultimately integrate the Middle East region. The war in Yemen is in its 19th month of truce. For now, the Iranian attacks against U.S. forces have stopped. Our presence in Iraq is stable. I emphasize for now because all of that can change. And the Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
What do you think? What do you think about that statement?
Well, what is it they say? It's always, quietest before the storm or
That's
whatever.
right. You're right.
I mean, that should have been a red flag right there. I'm, definitely Sullivan and the Biden administration have egg on their faces over this. I got to believe over the past, few days, there have been a number of high-level discussions about what was missed, why it was missed, and, to the extent that there is a desire to not continue to embarrass themselves in an effort to try and plug those gaps. But, yeah, I mean, that just speaks to, again, the tone deafness and the fact that maybe they're focusing so much on cozying up to Iran and making some sweetheart deal with them that, doesn't seem to make sense in any way, shape, or form, that they're not focusing on what they need to be focusing on.
But Susie, how much of this is the administration doing what they normally do, deflecting and saying things that really aren't true? I mean, he was saying, "Oh, it's quiet, no time to worry about anything. We've got it under control." When in reality, they've been planning this thing for months probably, and they had no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, I agree with you. So much of what comes out of their mouths, you can't take at face value. But I think when he made those comments, he was sharing accurate facts as far as it had been quiet and relatively speaking. What he wasn't sharing was any concept that this was looming and was about to blow wide open, which again speaks to major intelligence failures on multiple fronts.
Right. So now, this is the part I think that maybe scares us all, right? Americans were killed in these attacks. Some are still being held hostage. There's American warships on their way to the region. What? I mean, honestly, I don't know if you can just guess or just give your opinion on how scary the situation is, because now that Americans have been killed, we got a little bit more of an interest in there if they had not been killed, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of, has additional or added implications as far as what we will and can do in terms of our support of Israel's response. I will give President Biden credit for one thing, and that is the statement the other day where he said, they have the right to defend themselves, full stop. I mean, I know that the administration has since made other inconsistent statements, but I will give him credit for that. And I do think that without any question, we're going to be backing them, at least for now, in terms of their response, even if the messaging is going to start getting squirrely, like Karen alluded to. Yeah. But with the fact that there are American citizens still being held hostage and that some were killed in this, yeah, that has further implications. And I don't think anybody can say they know how this is going to shake out. And I think it's cause to be very concerned.
I agree.
I mean, we've got dangers all around us. We've got things swirling on multiple fronts, and we don't really seem terribly well equipped to address any of them, much less all of them.
You know, it's funny. When I heard that Americans were killed, I stopped short, but I almost put up the cartoon by Steve Breen that he made a day after 9/11 with the big muscular eagle sitting on a stool sharpening his talons. And then I said, no, maybe that's a little too hawkish, you know. But Americans were killed. To me, that kind of changes everything. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, it changes everything from from the U.S.'s policy, you know, but I guess the protocols and how deeply they can get involved. I mean, whether they were Americans or Germans or Israelis or whoever, you know, hundreds of innocents were slain, and so that part of the calculation doesn't change. I think we're still too early in the game to really get a sense of how thoroughly involved and enmeshed in this the U.S. is going to be, you know, or will become.
Well, Susie, with these people, with these Americans that are with Hamas right now, what's to keep them from, you know, getting billions of dollars for these hostages with this administration?
Great question.
That's a good question, and I wouldn't be shocked if there have already been some overtures made. But I also think that because of the focus on the most recent transaction and the way this is all just turned right around and blown up in their face, you may not see that. The other thing is, I mean, the sad reality is they may not be able to get most of these hostages back. I know that they rescued an older lady. I saw earlier today that there was one that was rescued, but you know, the people that were taken back and are being kind of sequestered away in the tunnels underneath Gaza, I'm not overly optimistic that those people are going to, be rescued.
Wow. All right. I know we're out of time, but I can't let this conversation go without the images of that German girl who was a tattoo artist, who was an influencer. You watch a million videos, you don't know what's true, what's not true, but somebody put up a video that said it was her at that music festival dancing, having a great time just before the attack happened, and then she was dead. I mean, that the image of her in that truck, right? When you say to yourself, well, is she dead? Yeah, look at the way her leg is. She's absolutely dead, you know? And it just breaks your heart. And you saw her mother, you know, just pleading to send the body back. I mean, it just breaks your heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really emphasizes how horrific and evil this was. These were young people out basically at a rave, at a party, celebrating life and peace, and they were mowed down.
Yep, irony at its best. Susie, your More to the Point is up at redstate.com right now. I urge everybody to go read it. Thank you so much. I'll say to you, as I said to Karen, this does not preempt our Friday conversation, right?
I certainly hope not.
I hope not, too. So we'll talk to you then. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thanks. Try to have a good rest of your day.
Yep. You too. Smoochie Q on Twitter. She's the deputy managing editor at redstate.com. And, you know, Ken, sometimes I just get too emotional. Sometimes I just let my mind go too quick, you know. I saw those American warships headed towards the region, and I got, why? They're not there to be referees.
Right. I mean, I like the idea that we're doing that.
I do, too. It just worries me.
Yeah, it does. But I really think, I agree that it's probably not going to be anything getting involved. It's just showing support for Israel.
Somebody put on Twitter over the weekend, there was peace when Trump was president.
You got that right.
Just saying. All right, coming back, we're going to steal the Be or Not the Be back. Somebody tried to steal it. We're stealing it back. It's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Turbocharge turbocharge the emerging global clean energy economy.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right, somebody with relatives in Israel hears that Biden thing you just played, and they're like, oh my God, this is the guy that's going to try to help us? Really?
Constant reminder.
All right, listen, if it's time to sell the house, I get it. Sometimes you look at the house you've been in for 30 years. The kids have moved away, right? You got these bedrooms nobody's using. You and your spouse really don't take up a whole bunch of room. Time to sell the house, maybe, right? So that's definitely the time to call the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. They're our great friends, Rodney and Jen Wallner, who will help you sell that house. That wasn't even accurate what I just said there. They won't help you sell your house. They'll sell your house. They may even get it sold before it gets on the market, and they'll definitely get you an offer for sure. They sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor. That is an astounding statistic. And now, guess what? They're licensed in both Missouri and in Illinois. So our great listeners in Illinois, you can use the services of Rodney and Jen yourselves. So give them a call and get that house sold as quickly as possible with Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Imagine a firefighter bravely maneuvering through smoke-filled corridors and a police officer tirelessly searching for a missing child in the pitch black of night, illuminated only by the feeble glow of a worn-out flashlight.
Be the light in their darkness and provide new tactical flashlights throughout Missouri by giving just a few volunteer hours of your time.
Volunteer with the David Dorn Foundation to be the guiding force for those who protect us, our first responders. Visit dornfoundation.com now.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point.
I am trained to see both sides. In addition to being raised with the moral imperative of empathy and learning to walk a mile in others' shoes, I had to learn to see the other side's viewpoint and make the other side's arguments in order to be an effective debater and litigator. Playing devil's advocate is second nature to me. But I can't see it here. I can't see the rationale for slaughtering innocent civilians. I can't wrap my brain around snatching women and children from their homes to use as hostages or human shields. I can't see any justification for attacking, brutalizing, and murdering peace-loving concert-goers. I can't fathom taking to the streets to celebrate this unspeakable evil, or slyly offering words of tepid condemnation from the halls of Congress. I do know that there are thousands of innocents trapped and at the mercy of their so-called leaders. I know that there will be innocents who pay the price for the wicked ways of others. And I also know that there is no one beyond redemption, that any and all things are possible with God, that the answer to hatred and destruction and evil is God's love and mercy and grace. I'm going to focus as much as I can on that, because I surely cannot see the other side.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Monday, we'll have the latest on speaker stakes with former U.S. Senator Jim Talent at 4:25. Red State Update, Susie Moore, 5:25.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
This is Gina Goff of Goff Productions. I'm producing a new movie in Missouri called At Niangua's End. You're listening to The Vic Porcelli Show on News Talk STL.
Oh, that's Gina Goff. I think she has my acting resume, doesn't she?
She does.
Yeah,
yes, we made sure she got 2 of them.
Haven't gotten a call from her yet, but she's got them.
Takes time.
All right, welcome home to 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Vic Porcelli. That is the one and only Ken Williams over there. And there's been a crime. Somebody tried to steal the bee or not the bee from Paul Kurtman. We said we're not going to let that happen, so we're ready to go now.
Oh, wait. That's not the one I wanted.
This is the city, St. Louis, Missouri. It was August 31st, 2023. It was a hot day in St. Louis. We were working day watch in the radio feature theft department. My partner's Williams. My name's Monday.
It's Friday!
Oh, right. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. We got a call from the world's smartest human, Paul Kurtman. He said he got robbed. He got fried.
Yep. My name's not Monday. It's Friday. I carry a badge. All right. It is time for the bee or not the bee. Paul Kurtman did this every Saturday on his show. When he left, somebody tried to steal it. He called Ken. He said, no. You guys got to do that. And he picked specifically you and I to carry on the bee or not the bee tradition, which I take as a very big responsibility. And I would like you to get in touch with him and see if we're doing it justice.
I
okay?
will.
So it's Friends Week on the bee or not the bee. We have two contestants that you'll be familiar with. Kim Landgraf. Good morning, Kim. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Well, thank you. And Dave Stouffer, whoosh to you, my brother.
Whoosh, my brother, 469 days.
Okay, end of the era. All right, so you guys know the rules, right? I'm going to read you a headline, and you'll both get a chance to tell me whether it's an actual headline from the bee or if it's a headline that was not the bee. What?
And you can play at home.
Yes, that's right. Play at home. And whoever doesn't win today gets a copy of our home game. Okay, contestants, here we go. Headline number 1. White House issues condemnation of attack Biden funded. Kim, is that the bee or not the bee?
I'm going to say not the bee.
Okay. Dave, what do you say?
That is not the bee.
Sorry, folks. That is the bee. That's the beauty of this site because they sound so like they could be a thing. All right.
I just realized, Vic, is this feature right now is the hardest to do this day and age.
It really
10
is.
years ago, it would have been like easy.
Crazy. You guys are crazy. All right, here we go. Headline number 2. Courageous dissident reads banned book he bought from the banned book section of Barnes & Noble. Kim? What do you think, Kim? Did we lose Kim?
Kim?
Dave, what do you say?
I say the bee.
Is Kim gone?
I don't know.
I hate to give Dave a point he doesn't deserve. Nothing he doesn't deserve. I
can try and call her back.
Yeah, try to get in touch. Meanwhile, we'll move on if that's okay with you, Ken. Did you say that was the bee?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's right. That is indeed the bee. All right, headline number 3. Starbucks pledges to eliminate wasteful paper cups by pouring coffee directly down customers' throats.
That would be the bee.
Yeah, that is the bee as well.
I'd like to. It's not real coffee.
Hey, no endorsement of Starbucks from this chair. All right, next headline, Dave. California senator grateful for new job with short commute home in Maryland.
Not the bee.
That is the bee. That is Gavin Newsom's pick for senator. She doesn't even live in California. She lives in Maryland. So clearly she's not going to be able to commute, shall we say, from D.C. or Maryland, I should say, to California. Is Kim back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. Sorry, you only get one more. That's
you don't want to reread those to her at all?
Okay, we'll let you play. I don't know if you're listening, but here we go. Courageous dissident reads banned book he bought from the banned book section of Barnes & Noble. Is that the bee or not the bee, Kim?
The bee.
That is the bee. Starbucks pledges to eliminate wasteful paper cups by pouring coffee directly down customers' throats.
That's the bee.
That is the bee. California senator grateful for new job with just a short commute from home in Maryland.
The bee.
That's the bee. Kim's really good at this game. All right, now we're back on track. Now, both of you, this is the deciding question.
And it's right now 3-2. Kim in the lead.
Oh, so Dave, you need this to stay ahead, and we have no tiebreaker
Right.
question. So if you get it right, it's a tie. Here we go. The headline is, McCarthy's Speaker of the House nameplate finally arrives from the engraver. Kim?
Who are you asking?
I'm asking Kim.
I'm going to say the bee.
Dave, what do you say?
I say not the bee.
It is the bee. Kim Landgraf is our winner. 4-1. Can I say something? Believe it or not, all 5 questions were the bee.
Wow.
That's how great they're.
How's that? Is that good? Is that bee enough for you?
Great, Jim. Look out! Too late. All right, Kim and Dave, thank you so much. Nobody leaves the show empty-handed, so we're going to cut off your hands.
All right.
And we'll send you a copy of our home game. Thanks for playing, guys.
Here we go.
And whoosh,
All right,
my
thanks,
brother
guys.
and sister. You bet, Kim. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Whoosh.
Whoosh, my brother. Dave Stouffer will forever go down in history as the man who came up with the end of the era, which I thought was
Right.
absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. All 5 of those were actual on the B. They were all Babylon B headlines. It's good stuff. This is Queen, right? Radio
Yes,
Gaga.
sir.
All right, so full disclosure. I watched Queen's performance at Live Aid again over the weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
I loved it, man.
Sometimes I need it.
Yeah.
You know, it was a weekend where I really needed something I love, and I love that performance. You know?
Yeah.
And why did I bring that up? I don't know.
Because you like it.
Because you're playing Radio Gaga again.
And you love it.
I do. I absolutely love it. All right. When we come back, we are going to talk to Douglas Blair from Salem Media. We got to get the lowdown on that third Republican debate.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a Salem Media production. He's next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
So thank you all. God bless you all. Let's go lick the world. Let's get it done.
On News Talk STL.
Reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Tony Colombo here with a great offer from Zero Res. Just mentioned the Colombo special when you book a cleaning in October, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. We've trusted Zero Res with our home for years, and 5,000 Google reviews with an average of 4.9 out of 5 says it all. Zero Res is the best when it comes to cleaning any surface in your home. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. We have an exciting new training opportunity available for public school and Christian school teachers. The Herzog Foundation Institute has partnered with the Bill of Rights Institute to offer 4 training events in 4 Missouri cities this year. These day-long professional development opportunities are best suited for middle and high school civics, government, U.S. history, and social studies teachers. Middle and high school teachers have a unique opportunity to strengthen civic knowledge and values for the next generation. We want to help teachers seize this opportunity.
Visit herzogfoundation.com/events to learn more and register for a Bill of Rights Institute training event near you. herzogfoundation.com/events. herzogfoundation.com/events.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Fox News commentary.
Biden says walls don't work, but he's still waiving 26 federal laws to allow for construction of 20 miles of wall. The math ain't mathin', Joe. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Why are central banks quietly amassing mountains of gold? Because they know the dollar won't last. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon, and I urge you to diversify your IRA or 401k into physical gold with Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get a free info kit on gold by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. So text SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit now.
work, which is why the left is so against them. Yet Biden's very own administration recently waived 26 federal laws to allow for 20 miles of border wall construction in South Texas. Joe maintains he has to use already appropriated wall funds, but let's get real. This isn't about the law, it's about the optics. Democrats know they have to at least appear to do something about the border invasion or risk ticking off their own blue sanctuary city constituents who are being inundated with thousands of illegals. But beware, folks, this is a facade. Democrats are not suddenly concerned with border security. They simply know that it's an electoral liability. They have already allowed millions to invade our country, so they're okay with shutting off the spigot for a year and a half to get reelected, and then we'll open it wide up again. Do not be fooled. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
I'm gonna grab a bite to eat. You want like a sandwich or something? What kind of sandwich ain't too fattening? I have the sandwich.
On News Talk STL.
What is infuriating is this attack was paid for by billions of dollars that Joe Biden sent to Iran, sent to the Ayatollah. In recent weeks, Biden sent over $6 billion to the Ayatollah. Hamas is a proxy for Iran. And in the last 2 years, Biden has allowed the Ayatollah to make over $40 billion. Not only that, the Biden administration sent millions of dollars directly into Gaza. They knew that the money going into Gaza would fund Hamas in acts of terrorism. They actually got a waiver from U.S. anti-terrorism laws to send that money into Gaza. I led a group of senators calling on the administration to stop sending money to these terrorists. Well, the terrorists that Joe Biden is funding, they're the ones right now murdering Israelis, raping Israelis, targeting children. This is grotesque. And I got to say tonight, it is important that the people of Israel understand America stands with you. We need a president of the United States who stands up and says, we stand unequivocally with the state of Israel. This act of war, this act of terrorism, it is horrific. It is barbaric. And we stand with civilization against barbarism and terror and evil.
I absolutely love that. Comment from Senator Ted Cruz from Texas. And he's right all the way around, So Netanyahu, I guess, apparently had a conversation with Joe Biden. And during that conversation, he said, negotiating with Hamas terrorists is off the table.
Yep.
That's, it sounds cruel to say because you know that there are Israeli people and Americans, by the way, being held hostage, but you can't negotiate. Look what happened. This happened because of negotiating with Iran with the $6 billion. It should have just been a prisoner exchange.
Right.
But we threw in $6 billion for their time, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Douglas Blair. Time for Douglas Blair.
This just in. For the latest news from the D.C. swamp and beyond, this is the Vic Porcelli Show East Coast Report with Douglas Blair on News Talk STL.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doug Blair. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing phenomenal, Vic. How are you doing?
I'm good. Just, this weekend, I was so full of so many emotions, Doug, empathy for the people of Israeli, hatred for the people who don't understand what they're saying when they're protesting and saying we're pro-Palestine. It was just, it took a lot out of me this weekend, I got to say.
I mean, I'm in the same boat with you, Vic, where I just felt endless amounts of rage after watching these videos of, innocent people just dead in back of trucks. I mean, there's that one of that German woman that I lie awake in bed thinking about it, just like the horror of this person going to a music festival and just losing their life. So young, so much potential in life, and killed so brutally by terrorists and barbarians that now people in the West, in America and the UK, will try and justify as victims. It is disgusting and despicable, and it makes me so angry.
So, Doug, maybe you know, because I don't know, and I apologize up front for not knowing, but when you are a congressperson in this country, we have allies around the world. Israel is one of those allies. I don't know how to ask this question, Doug. Is it allowed? I don't know. Is there penalty for speaking out against our allies and for the enemy in this case, which is Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran? Because Ilhan Omar and Cori Bush, for that matter, from right here in St. Louis, and Rashida Tlaib specifically, is blaming Israel for this. And I don't understand why they're, I mean, it's freedom of speech. I get it, but no censorship, no penalty, no nothing.
I feel as if, yeah, you're right from the perspective that it is free speech. It's odious and disgusting and despicable as they are, and they should be ashamed for what they've said. It is free speech. Now, what I think should happen is a censure. What you can do is in the House of Representatives, you can censure your colleagues for doing things that are this bad. I mean, when Ilhan Omar was making statements about, it's all about the Benjamins, kind of implying that Jews are these, money-grubbing monsters, when she implied that 9/11 was just some guys doing something, right? Like this wasn't one of the worst things that's happened to America in the last 50 years. When she does all this stuff, Republicans have the ability to censure her and basically say, like, you're going to get punished from that perspective. You could also remove them from committees, which is a big thing here in Washington. If you're not on committees, you're really not particularly relevant. So I could see a number of different options of what they should do. I do think that they need to face consequences for it. One, Israel is a steadfast ally of the United States in the Middle East. It's the only basically functioning democracy in the Middle East, and we should probably be good with them. But then two, I mean, just again, these are people that have killed Americans. As much as the Biden administration and Blinken want to pretend that this is just Israelis and this is just maybe a stray German or two, Americans are dead now. There are dead Americans as a result of Biden's weak policy and as the fact that we gave Iran all this money and we're going to continue treating them like they're an actual country as opposed to a theocratic dictatorship.
So are you hearing anything behind the scenes with there being Americans now who were killed and still being held hostage, by the way, American warships on the way to the region? Are you hearing anything that we don't know?
I would assume that what we're going to hear a little bit later today what the plan is, but I mean, literally what we've been hearing right now from the Biden administration is damage control. It's a desperate attempt. I was literally talking about this with a friend earlier today, and I said the optics of Biden giving Iran money, then trying to say that it wasn't connected with Iran, that this attack from Hamas was not connected with Iran, and then Hamas themselves saying, no, they actually did help us. It was Iran. Thank you, Iran. I mean, it's a really bad day for the president because it makes him look stupid more than he usually does. But, I mean, it's just one of those things where I think he needs to figure out something, because if he doesn't figure out something in the next 48 hours, this is going to be like Afghanistan times 17. It's going to be just awful.
Okay. The $6 billion. Is Anthony Blinken naive or just stupid or devious and dangerous when he said, no, Iran's going to use that money for humanitarian aid, that's all?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a column A, a little bit of column B, a little bit of column C. I mean, the man clearly has no morals, no scruples. He's willing to do whatever it takes to make him and his boss look good, even if that cost is American blood. I think the fact that, like I said, this is something that the Biden administration has to own up to creates a really big predicament, because, of course, he can't just go out and say, yeah, it was due to us giving the Iranians this money that we probably wouldn't. I mean, if this money hadn't been there, we probably wouldn't have had this attack launched. But, they can't say that. So, of course, they're going to have to try and hem and haw and justify it and say, oh, money isn't fungible. The money that we gave them wasn't directly related to terrorist activities. But, I mean, you have you have all this money that you have in surplus now that you don't have to spend, funding terrorists. You could spend more money giving it to the Palestinian Authority and Hamas to kill Israelis, which is their end goal. So Blinken is going to have to do better than this. I think the American people can see right through him, see through his lies and deceit. But I don't know how he gets out of this one, because, frankly, I just don't think there is a way out.
Let's hear Anthony Blinken on NBC.
What do you say about the argument that money is fungible? So Iran may have known this money is coming and used other funds to help fund this attack that happened.
Iran has unfortunately always used and focused its funds on supporting terrorism, on supporting groups like Hamas, and it's done that when there have been sanctions. It's done that when there haven't been sanctions, and it's always prioritized that. And again, I come back to the proposition that these funds have always been, under the law, available to Iran to use for humanitarian purposes.
So
Iran even said, we'll use the money any way we want.
Right. I mean, that's the point, right? Like, they knew that this money, even if they said, and they wrote a very stern letter, and they, wagged their finger and said, Iran, don't do terrorism. And Iran said, well, screw off. We're going to do what we want with it. They were always going to use this money to sponsor terrorism because that's what terrorist states do. They commit terrorism. And in this case, it happened that it hit an ally of ours, and there are almost 600 dead, I think, at the time of we're having this interview. But, of course, there's going to be more. There's hostages.
Over
there's
800
Americans
now.
dead. Over 800, right? Like, it changes by the minute. Like, there's more dead every single second, it feels. And yet they're going to try and say that it wasn't connected. There's zero connection here, nothing to see here. Blame Trump for being a fascist. Vote Democrat come November. It's despicable. They know that they're in a pickle. They know that they're basically screwed. I fundamentally, I think if Americans can look at this and say that this man should still be in the Oval Office and that his staff is competent on foreign policy, they need to get their eyes checked.
So was Blinken naive? Was he just stupid? And I also brought up that is he just devious and dangerous? Doug, I want you to listen to a piece of audio from 2014 when Blinken was a nominee to be Deputy Secretary of State. And these words come from John McCain.
Madam President, I rise to discuss my opposition to the pending vote concerning Mr. Tony Blinken, who is not only unqualified, but in fact, in my view, one of the worst selections of a very bad lot that this president has chosen. I hope that many of my colleagues will understand that not often do I come to the floor to oppose a nomination of the President of the United States because I believe that elections have consequences. In this case, this individual has actually been dangerous to America and to the young men and women who are fighting and serving it.
So back in 2014, John McCain knew how dangerous Antony Blinken was.
Right. I don't always agree with John McCain, but, I mean, he's spot on here. This man, as I said, is very dangerous. I do think that there's also an element of stupidity in it because, again, we're dealing with Biden folks, so that just kind of comes with the territory. But, I mean, this is how you can look at a camera and talk to somebody honestly and say, oh, we didn't know this was going to happen. You knew this was going to happen. Of course you knew this was going to happen. You gave them all of this money. You even admitted in the interview that this has been something that Iran's been doing all the time. So why are we negotiating with them? Why are we giving them money? I think that you're right that people need to understand that this isn't just a case of oopsies. It's a case of we knew what was going to happen. We need a win. I think that this is sort of a desperate attempt to either resurrect the Iran nuclear deal, to give Biden some sort of maybe this is like his Kuwait. This is his, Bush going into Afghanistan, Bush going into Iraq. We need to do this because it's a legacy thing. But he's going to make a very bad policy decision based on the fact that he needs this Iran deal. He needs to have some sort of connection to the Obama years because everything sucks under his presidency. And I think Blinken is just one more symptom of that.
Doug, we keep talking about the $6 billion that they say they didn't release yet. It's not being used. It was released. And on social media, you're hearing people talking about the $6 billion as if it's not even there yet. Let's remind everybody also, and I don't know how much of this you know about, but I'm sure you do. Back in the day with Iraq, there were certain agreements with the United States to release other funds and up to $10 billion worth that could possibly be going to Iran right now.
Right. And again, I think that the relevancy of whether it's there or not is sort of besides the point. Iran knows this is coming. Like, they know that they can have that balloon of $6 billion in their budget to provide to more terrorists, right? Like, this justification, like, oh, we haven't done it yet, or like there's no guarantee. Iran is treating it as if that's the case, right? So, if they're going to do these things because the U.S. has empowered them to do it, it really doesn't matter in the end of the thing what the justification the Biden administration is going to give. The reason that they did it at all was because Joe Biden said, you can get this money. We will give this to you. And regardless of his motivations, I think that they're nothing less than horrific and awful. And I think it's mostly based on the fact that he wants to resurrect this JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal. But, I mean, it happened, right? And the reason why the attack on Israel, the reason why there are 9 dead Americans, or probably more at this point, I mean, again, it changes so quickly. The reason why there are so many dead is because Joe Biden gave them that money.
That's right. We're talking to Doug Blair from Salem Media. Doug, you don't mind sharing the spotlight with a listener, do you? Steve's on the phone. He's got something to say. Steve, how you doing?
Hey, guys. Appreciate you all. Ken and Vic. Hope all is going well. This is kind of a little bit off the track. And by the way, I agree with everything you're saying about Israel, and it's just a horrendous thing that has happened. There really can't be any any justification for it from these pro-Palestinian folks. But I did, on the subject of Blinken, I read a couple of years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, shortly after he got appointed, a couple different places where his family actually has a lot of business ties, I think through his mother with Ukraine, and it kind of ties in with the whole Hunter Biden thing.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they have board seats or something. I'd have to go do another search and look it up, but it's a little bit unrelated, obviously, to what's going on in Israel, but it's just another, nail in the coffin as far as Blinken is concerned with regard to his...
he's dangerous. He's definitely dangerous.
His viewpoints.
Steve, thanks so much. We appreciate your call.
Hey, good talking to you.
Thank you. One thing I want to, before time runs out here, Doug, we're running out of time, but people, the anti-Israel people, right, the pro-Palestinian people saying, oh, well, Israel's been terrorizing Palestine for years. With this military might that we're watching right now against Palestine, Israel's had all the time, hasn't used it, right? Now they have to use it. So, I mean, they would have used it the whole time if they were the evil people that the left calls them.
Right. No, I think that's the other narrative that's going to get blown up by this, that Israel is like the horrible oppressor. I mean, we've already heard a couple of people try and justify what they're doing, as fighting back against terrorists, but
it's bad.
It's terrible.
It's bad. Doug Blair, Salem Media. Up against the hard break. Doug, thank you so much. We'll talk next week, okay?
All right. See you next Monday, guys.
That's Doug Blair from Salem Media. My gosh. Hey, listen, thanks for having the record player on at night to listen to us this morning.
Make sure you have the record player on at night.
Thanks to all our guests, including Karen Kataline, for being with us. Dan Bongino is next on NewstalkSTL.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peter's. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Hey, it's your buddy Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. For 25 years, offices, hotels, restaurants, and churches have been saving money and time by shopping at discountcoffee.com. They offer the largest selection of name brand coffee, tea, cappuccino, break room supplies, and free shipping to your home or office. Plus, get an extra 15% off when you use the coupon code RightMind. That's discountcoffee.com. Order now at discountcoffee.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, Columbo here, reminding you that cybersecurity has never been more important, so you need to ask yourself, is your business prepared for a possible ransomware attack? And if you have any doubt, you need to call the team at ThrottleNet today. ThrottleNet provides world-class managed IT services and IT support to many local organizations, including my family's own small business. They're St. Louis's highest highest rated and most reviewed outsourced IT company, and there's many different ways ThrottleNet can help with your business's operation and digital protection. Learn more now at throttlenet.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Israel has vowed to lay total siege to the Gaza Strip as its military scours the country south for militants. Reporting from Jerusalem, correspondent Joseph Fetterman.
Israel's first priority right now is still to regain control of its southern border communities. The chief military spokesman this morning said that they had regained control, but he also said that they are conducting scans and there may still be militants roaming around the area. Just a few minutes after he made that statement, they announced that there was a gunfight going on in one of those communities.
Meanwhile, President Biden is voicing rock-solid support for Israel after the deadly Hamas attack. White House correspondent Greg Clugston with that report.
The president made it clear over the weekend that the U.S. stands by the Jewish state and that Israel has a right to defend itself. He also issued this warning.
This is not a moment for any party hostile to Israel to exploit these attacks to seek advantage. The world is watching.
Mr. Biden spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu on both Saturday and Sunday as a range of U.S. officials spoke with their Israeli counterparts. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, major airlines are suspending flights to Israel after it formally declared war on Hamas.
American Airlines, United Airlines and Delta Airlines have lifted services as the State Department issued travel advisories for the region, citing potential for terrorism and civil unrest. United says it allowed 2 scheduled flights out of Tel Aviv late Saturday and early Sunday. Delta adds its Tel Aviv flights have been cancelled into this week. The airline says it's monitoring the situation and making adjustments accordingly. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
And on Wall Street, stocks are lower. The Dow is down 1 point, the NASDAQ losing 64 points. More at townhall.com.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, and evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group, because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word faith to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
New York's mayor.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Coming out of a stellar fall weekend, autumn is still in the driver's seat today. Mostly sunny and dry. High of about 69 this afternoon. That's just a few degrees cooler than normal for this time of year. Tonight, clear, back down into the 40s, low 46 in St. Louis. Tuesday, another beautiful day. Sunshine, a high of 72. Looks like we've got 2 shots at rain this week, one on Wednesday, another on Friday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey guys, Ken Kruger. I've gotten to know these guys really well over the last few years. Yes, St. Louis Bath and Renovation. They're the most trusted name in bathroom remodelers in the St. Louis area. In fact, if you need bathroom repairs, complete bathroom remodeling, or handyman services, call St. Louis Bath and Renovation at 314-477-6476 or email Rob at stlbr.com. That's St. Louis Bath and Renovation.
Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Simplicity Well, LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance, consulting, and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Be part of something big. Your City, Your Voice Town Hall, a rare event, is coming to the heart of our beloved St. Louis City. Imagine this, Attorney General Andrew Bailey and Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft in person, side by side, taking on your burning questions. It's October 12th. Come and ask the questions that keep you awake at night. It's your moment to be heard. Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
The news and talk.
We're thrilled to be here to take back this state from the radical left lunatics.
That matters to St. Louis.
It's about the auto workers who are part of the fabric of the working class of this country.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. News Talk STL.
From the NYPD to the Secret Service to behind the microphone, taking the fight to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Dan Bongino Show. Here he is, Dan Bongino.
All right, folks, we're gonna talk about a lot today. It'll be a heavy show, man. There's a lot to talk about. Obviously we're not going to be doing any weekend update or anything this weekend. This isn't, I'm just having a hard time. Like many of you, I watched what happened this weekend, and I'm just having a tough time taking it all in. I don't have any special powers you guys don't have or anything like that. I saw what I saw, and it's just, devastating. So I'm, a couple things before we get started here. Well, I guess we just got started, so. Get ready, man. Don't wait. I've implored you, begged you, asked you, requested of you, got on bended knee before you and asked you to please do yourself a favor. Get ready. I wasn't basing it on hyperbole or conspiracy theories or... I stay very, very well connected in this space, like anyone else would who came from this prior line of work. It's not something special I have. It's not some secret Jason Bourne-like network of spies I have. It's just friends and people I know who deal with this all the time. And if you're a regular listener to this show, you know I've been beaten up and I've sounded different over the last few weeks. And it's because I'm scared, and I'm not afraid to tell you I'm scared. Listen, anyone who said, oh, man, fearlessness is a myth, okay? This isn't some Aesop's fable. Fearlessness is bull. That's crap. There's no such thing as fearlessness. God gave you fear for a reason. It's part of you. The only thing you can pray for is to be free from the fear of fear. You should act without the fear of fear. Fear's not going anywhere. And I'm afraid. And I'm not afraid to tell you. The government knows something. And I'm not talking about X-Files crap or David Duchovny breaking. I'm not talking about that. Breaking into the show here. Oh, look at that. I'm not talking about any of that. There are people within the intelligence space who know things you and I don't. I mean, that's tautological. Everybody understands that. Haven't you seen the signs? The warnings? The alerts? The subtext to everything? If you listen to this show, you couldn't miss them because I told you about them. The signs emanating from overseas. The signs coming out of our own government. Biden all of a sudden last week is going to be some border wall builder down south. Why do you think all this stuff is happening? Emergency alert notifications. I mean, the signs were everywhere. Get ready. Don't wait. Arm yourself. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save you. I can't look at another picture of an Israeli family who had their door kicked in with a black-clad Hamas terrorists and BDUs walking through the door, mowing them down while they were largely helpless. I can't watch that. What do you think? That stuff can't happen here? I bet a bunch of people who got mowed down this weekend probably felt the same sense of security. I want to say, second, in addition to be prepared, arm yourself, train with it, have a way to communicate with your family. You have a satellite phone? No, I can't afford one. That's fine. Fair enough. They aren't cheap. Go get yourself one of those like Garmin-like devices. You can text over satellite. It's like $20 a month or something. I may never need that. Yeah, you may. And when you do, you'll thank me. You have water filtration? Well, what am I going to need that for? Hopefully you don't. Best day of your life is you laugh at this show in 20 years and you throw it in the garbage. The worst day of your life is the day you need it. You have an emergency plan with your family? Where are you going to meet them if something breaks bad? You have some emergency food, some extra fuel? Store it safely. Don't put it near a pilot light in your house. You'll end up with a bigger problem than emergency fuel. You know how to defend yourself and your family? They know the code to your safe? Listen, this isn't the time for hysterics. But in my last line of work, I used to tell the staff members on dangerous foreign trips, you know, we worry about ridiculous things so you don't have to. Well, that's my job. I worry about ridiculous things so you don't have to. But now you have to. So in addition to being ready, I told you a couple of things, couples too. The second thing is, I want you to understand you're dealing with savages. You're dealing with demons. Now, we have to have a lot of really difficult conversations in the United States, and people should not be censored for having different opinions. There's going to be a multitude of different opinions on this. And however abhorrent you think those opinions are on either side, whether you're pro-Israel, pro-Palestinian, or bizarrely pro-savage demon mutt, nobody should be censored in this. I want to hear it all. But I'll tell you this, you are dealing with demons right now. You're dealing with savages. They can't be bargained with. They can't be negotiated with. They're not interested in sitting down at a table with a rapprochement. They're interested in one thing, having the sword of Damocles hanging over your head that they can release at any time. See, if you don't understand the nature's law of the savage, then you're going to lose and you're going to die too. The savage only understands power asymmetries. The savage's currency is death and pain. That's it. It's the only language they understand. They can't be reasoned with. You can't talk to them. Their eyes are empty. Their souls are empty. There's nothing there. You're staring into an empty piece of glass in those eyeballs. There's nothing on the other side of those eyeballs that's going to process anything you're telling them if it doesn't involve death or pain. And I say that because I know one day I'm going to be judged by my Creator. I make no illusions otherwise. And I am completely comfortable telling you this, that the only way to deal with the savage is to speak in their language, and their language is death. I'm not screaming it. I'm not yelling it. I'm not in any way irrational, emotional, or unreasonable about it. I'm emotional about what happened, but not about this. See, I did this. I got to investigate these people, arrest these people. I'm talking about the savages, the animals, the terrorists. Travel over, 37 countries, probably 50, 60 different cities over the Middle East in war zones. UAE, Kuwait, Israel, Jordan. Been over to Afghanistan. Spent time in Indonesia. Heavy terrorist threat in all those places. Sat through an almost uncountable number of intelligence briefings from all these folks. I'm not going to be lectured by anyone about what's going on and what happened this weekend. You're dealing with the savage. The savage isn't worried about his Miranda rights or his lawyer. The savage isn't worried about jail bars or handcuffs. Savage is only concerned with pain and death. So you should give it to them. So you should give it to them. That's all they understand. Now, there's a lot of folks who, I guess, thought they had a grasp of how I felt about foreign policy. Some didn't. I've got some people who agree with me and some don't, and that's fair. No one should be censored here. Everyone has a right to an opinion and to articulate it. A God-given right. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to like it. You don't have to like mine. But I'm telling you what I know to be true. After spending over a decade of my life trying to prevent these people from killing the people I was protecting, you're dealing with savages and demons. But I just want to warn you on the savage and demon front that if you think the savages are over there and not over here, you're crazy. See, the savages have a line that I try to explain to as many people as will listen. And you become very familiar with this line when you're involved in the intel, security, law enforcement space, especially at the federal level. The savages have a line that first we get the Saturday people, then we come for the Sunday people. Oh, if you're an operator or anything, you've heard that before. You know exactly what that means. So it's going to be a heavy show today because I don't want you to live in the delusion that what happened over there can't happen here. How many people are in this country who hold those exact same savage, demon-like, demonic beliefs as those people? How many? Do you know? The scariest part of that answer is, the answer is no, I don't know. No idea. Could be 1,000, could be 100, could be 10,000. You have no idea. I want to tell you with regards to that, too. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East and a lot of time in cars. Driving around with vetted contractors, by the way, in the U.S. Embassy. I mean, people they can tell you are trustworthy. I can't tell you how many times I'd be in a car somewhere in the Middle East, and after an hour or so in the car, when the driver got a little comfortable with you, he'd start telling you how, like, Jews were dogs or something like that. No. Oh, yeah. And I'd say to him, did you just, and then they'd catch, oh, my God, oh, no, I didn't, that's not what I meant. I didn't, yeah. See, when you see it up close and personal, and you're there, you're not really going to be lectured by anyone about it. I'm not talking about one or two times either. I'm talking about like a lot of times. A lot of these feelings are pervasive. They're not universal, but they're pervasive. You don't get a similar take when you go over to Israel. I'm not telling you it doesn't exist. There's always going to be people who discriminate against others for all kinds of barbaric reasons in any country, anywhere. I can tell you I never heard that. I heard them condemn terrorists and savages and demons. but not, quote, the Jews. These people don't discriminate, the savages, against the Jews or us. You understand that, right? There's no us and them to the savage. Now, there is an us and them, the civilized man versus the savage. But there's no us and them. You can tell me all you want, this isn't our fight. And that may not be our fight in our land over there, but that is our fight. And you know what? The enemy and the savage, interestingly enough, doesn't care what you think. I'm not telling you what you think is irrelevant or your right to speak it. I'm simply telling you the enemy doesn't care. If you were at that music festival and put your hands up in the air and said, screw Israel or whatever, they'll shoot you right in the face like a dog and rape your girlfriend right in front of you. Because the savage can be reasoned with. The savage doesn't think the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The savage only understands the language of death and pain. So you should give it to them. It's the only way. It's an awful predicament they put us in. But we didn't ask for it. They did. All right, it's going to be a heavy show today. We got a lot to talk about. We'll be right back.
Bongino.
Is inflation taking a toll on your pocket? You know it is. The dollar shrinking daily? Well, it's time to join AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. With AMAC, you can save from 10 to 65% on products like cell phones and plans, health and wellness products, travel and lodging, vision, dental, and prescription drugs. Go to amac.us/Dan. The savings alone will more than pay for your subscription. They even have an advisory service for Social Security and Medicare that'll answer any questions you have. Join AMAC today at amac.us/Dan. Thinking of or in the middle of retirement? AMAC Financial Planning and Retirement Planners can help you learn more about life insurance, IRA rollovers, and investment advice from its referral partners. Head on over to amac.us/Dan. Don't wait. Discover savings that make dreams come true. Discover a world of savings on everything to fuel your future. It all starts at AMAC, amac.us/Dan, the Association of Mature American Citizens. Better for you, better for America.
Dan Bongino.
Hey, it's First Alert Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton from Channel 4, and we are proud to be the official weather source for News Talk STL. Just like you've grown to expect from us at Channel 4, you can expect the same accurate, detailed, and timely weather coverage from News Talk STL. The First Alert weather team will keep you ahead of the big weather changes. And the one thing you can count on in St. Louis, the weather is constantly changing. So Channel 4 and News Talk STL are committed to keeping you up to date and safe.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to health care, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams. Parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
The team that brought conservative talk radio to St. Louis is back. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. Mike Ferguson, Tim Jones, Dan Bongino, Tony Colombo, Vic Porcelli, Katie Fitzpatrick, Chris Arce, Ken Williams, Larry Connors, Gabe Pfeiffer, Joe Pags, Randy Tobler, Ben Shapiro. Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home. News, analysis, opinion. News Talk STL.
About 100% drug-free relief factor. You know, we all get a little bit older every day, and we all experience aches and pains. Many people even struggle just to get out of bed in the morning and face the world. If you're one of them, then you could be exactly the person Relief Factor was made to help. Let me tell you about Catherine in Pennsylvania. She had shoulder aches, and I mean the kind that were ruining her life. She decided to give Relief Factor a try because she'd heard so many of us on the radio singing its praises. And guess what? After only a few weeks, her pain was nearly gone. No side effects, just relief. Many of my friends and I take Relief Factor every single day. Hundreds of thousands of others have tried it, and about 70% have gone on to order more. Your first step to becoming pain-free just might be to order the 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Feel the difference.
There are 3 things we really care about: God, family, and country. The Dan Bongino Show.
Folks, if you live in big cities in the coming weeks, and we're on in a lot of big cities, I say this to you with respect for your rationality, and I say this in a non-emotional manner. I got paid to be non-emotional and just evaluate threats and take my personal feelings out of it. Again, fear, don't worry about fearlessness. That's nonsense. That's all mythical. Just don't live in fear of fear. Use fear to motivate you. If you're in these big cities, just keep your head on a swivel in the coming weeks. And if something don't look right, I'm not getting into these see something, say so, whatever. Those things are largely useless. But human beings have instincts for a reason. They're not mythical powers. It's your brain telling you something that doesn't fit in with the other stimuli in the area. This isn't Spider-Man. No one has spidey sense. But if you sense something wrong, like a guy in a trench coat when it's 90 degrees, sweating in an awfully bulky scenario, where it looks like he has 20 sweaters on, it's probably time to move. You know, you see someone carrying a really super long backpack, sitting down in Times Square, getting on a knee, pulling something out of it that looks like it may be a weapon. It's probably time to get out of there. Just stay frosty. Because, again, if you think this stuff isn't going to happen here, then you haven't cracked the history book from even just the last couple of years. I'm not even talking about 9/11. I'm talking about even since then. We have no idea who's in this country. We have no idea who's walked across that border. None. There could be 10,000 people here that hold the exact same savage ideology as those demons, and you'd never know.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 844-53-BIBLE. That's 844-53-BIBLE. 844-53-BIBLE.
Dan Bongino.
Are you paying?
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Israel's military ordering a complete siege on the Gaza Strip, halting deliveries of food, fuel, and supplies to its 2.3 million people as it pounded the Hamas-ruled territory with waves of airstrikes in retaliation for the militants' bloody weekend attack. A major question remains whether Israel will launch a ground assault into the coastal territory. The United Auto Workers Union says members at Mack Trucks have voted down a tentative 5-year contract agreement reached with the company and have gone on strike. The UAW represents about 4,000 Mack workers in 3 states. The deal rejected included a 19% pay raise over the life of that contract. On Wall Street, the Dow had 4 points, but the NASDAQ is down 47 points. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, an evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group, because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word FAITH to 989898, and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Are you wanting to improve the look and efficiency of your home? Well, one of the best and easiest ways you can do that, get some new windows. Window World, simply the best for less. You can give them a call today at 314-993-1800. Over 20 years in the business in the St. Louis area, over 70,000 satisfied customers. That's because Window World uses double strength glass, gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. They've got the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They've got 18 months, same as cash financing. You can get them today. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com. That's windowworld.com.
How's your health care? Insured but afraid to use it because of high copays and deductibles? You wait weeks for a few minutes with your doctor? It's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I struggle with the same issues as both patient and doc. You want to know that you're the focus, not the billing codes or faceless denial experts at insurance skyscrapers, which is why I've decided there's a better way. At Body of Health Direct Primary Care, you'll receive timely and time-rich appointments in person or virtually, whichever fits your needs and schedule, along with hundreds of free medications, transparent and truly affordable labs, and most importantly, a trusting relationship. We'll dig deep for solutions to problems and fill you with holistic coaching to minimize the need for high-powered medicine or specialty care. Now, if you need that, I'll work with specialists to streamline that journey too. And if it's prenatal care, hormonal, or sexual health that's bugging you, I'm board certified in women's health. Want a Body of Health? Get to know us at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Congress, the speakership, the presidency. It all kind of feels like it's hanging in the balance. Will we have a better grasp on it by Monday? Who the heck knows? We'll talk to Virginia Cruda about it at 2:45.
Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Newstalk STL.
Sound off. Call 844-4-the-USA now to let Dan know what you think. 844-484-3872. The Dan Bongino Show.
Folks, I can't guarantee you this isn't coming here. We don't know who's in the country. We don't know that. I'm very emotional today for a lot of reasons. I'd say some beyond the scope of the show, but I'm with you 3 hours every day, and the scope of the show involves just about everything lately. But here, you want my weekend update? My weekend update was spent looking at really awful things I never want to see again in my entire life. Because I want to see it all. Why would you want to see that? Because when savages act like demons and savages, I want to make sure. Oh, man. Sorry. It's just hard. I don't know. I internalize this sort of stuff. I was out on a boat with a friend of mine this weekend. I couldn't get this off my mind. I was sitting in the back watching these videos all day. It's just devastating. It's just devastating. So hard. I was just reminded. So I was in church this weekend, and I was there with Father Marty, and the gospel was about the vineyard keeper. Comes back to see his vineyard, destroyed by hooligans who end up killing his son. And I thought, I wonder if that's how God feels now. He left us the vineyard, and the savages are tearing it up. Folks, the savage doesn't understand anything. They only understand death and pain. This isn't a movie, man. This isn't The Expendables. This isn't Invasion USA, Chuck Norris style. It's the real world. Real animals and demons. Shot a bunch of innocent people in their backs. Raped women in front of their dying and soon-to-be dead friends at a rave music festival. Kidnapped women, pulled them by the hair, ripped them in the back of their Jeeps, bleeding between their legs, probably from being violently raped, and took them into Israel, into Gaza, in the tunnels from Israel, where horrible, horrible things are happening right now. It's hard to get that out of my head. I can't just go on. What am I supposed to do? I keep thinking of things like, I got to go to a dentist later. I got to sit in a dental chair now and quiet. All I'm going to be thinking about is this. I didn't think about a freaking dentist. Like, who cares? What are my teeth to you? Who gives a damn? The world is on fire. And there are a lot of folks out there. Some I agree with, some I don't agree with, and friends of mine in the space who. But some people say, well, we can't review this intelligence failure now. It's not the time for that. And I respectfully disagree. Folks, there's only two possible scenarios here. This was either one of the most tragic intelligence failures in the history of the Western world, or it wasn't. And if it wasn't, the forked off explanations from there only get worse. Listen to me, man, about the savage. I did this for 10 years. Not here to spin your wheels. Not here to play some fake tough guy. I'm not. I'm a 48-year-old guy with a broken body. Probably barely defend myself anymore. But I've seen these bad guys. They're demons. They only understand death. We didn't ask for this. But you're going to have to give it to them. It'll never stop. Regardless of your feelings about Golda Meir's politics, she was known for a lot of pithy quotes, but some of them were pretty profound. One of them was, we can forgive you for killing our children, but we can never forgive you for making us kill yours. That's right. The savage only understands death. So death is what you should give them. Now, who could have been behind this? Seems kind of strange that the Biden administration, I'm so disgusted. I don't even know. I'm going to withhold from, I can't with this guy anymore. I just can't. I can't. I can't. Please, God. Please, God. I do not use his name in vain. Please, God, give us like mean tweets back or something. Please. Anything but this. The Biden administration is on TV claiming, we're not really sure who was behind this whole thing with Hamas and all that, how they got the support. That's interesting. So Wall Street Journal came out with a piece this weekend. Iran helped plot the attack on Israel over several weeks. That's literally the title. I don't know, Jim. I don't know who could have been behind it. No idea. Here's an article on the same day in the Times of Israel. Hamas spokesman says Iran gave support for the surprise attack on Israel. I don't know. I don't know who could have been behind this. Who could have been? It's a mystery. It's a mystery. It's a mystery what happens when you give $6 billion to a country that screams death to America, finances proxy wars against Western democracies and non-believers all over the world. It's a total mystery. Nobody has any idea. I spent half the weekend explaining money to liberals, how money works, how when you give a regime $6 billion, but it was their money. It was their money. Oh, so what does that mean? It doesn't buy anything now, like terrorists? What does that mean? So if I robbed a bank 20 years ago, and then found out later, the government found out it was my money, and I get out of jail 20 years later, and they give me the $1 billion I robbed from the bank back, I can't spend the $1 billion? Well, it's still, do you not understand how money works, liberals? Are you really this dumb, or are you just pretending? You're surprised when you give $6 billion to the Death to America crowd that they wait till the money's deposited in Qatari banks, and then, oh, look, all of a sudden there's a massive terror strike, and we don't know who did it. Times of Israel, Hamas spokesman says Iran gave support for surprise attack on Israel. I don't know who did it. I don't know. And let me put two and two together for you here, so there's no illusions about where I'm going with this. This is why we're going to talk about an intelligence failure now. Because the intelligence failure may have ramifications for the United States, because our special operations and other things may be compromised. Where'd you get that from? Here's my good friend Lee Smith. He writes at Tablet Mag. You can read this article yourself. It's in my newsletter today. Encourage you to do it. This is from October 1st, which today's date is what, fellas? October 9th? Sounds like it was 8 days ago. Yeah, math is solid. Tablet Mag, October 1st, Lee Smith. High-level Iranian spy ring busted in Washington. The trail that leads from Tehran to Washington, D.C., passes directly through the offices of Robert Malley and the International Crisis Group. Wait, what? Quote, the Biden administration's now suspended Iran envoy, Robert Malley, helped to fund, support, and direct an Iranian intelligence operation designed to influence the United States and allied governments, according to a trove of purloined Iranian government emails. So the administration all of a sudden is confused about who could have been behind this attack, despite the fact that the Hamas spokesman is saying Iran supported the attack. Now, why would the administration have an interest in not having the truth disguised from you about Iran's role in this? Gee, I don't know. Maybe because their suspended Iran envoy, Robert Malley, allegedly helped to fund, support, and direct an Iranian intel operation? I don't know. I can't figure it. I cannot figure it out. Oh, the story gets better. And by better, I mean tragically worse. They showed that Robert Malley from the Biden team had helped to infiltrate an Iranian agent of influence named Ariane Tabatabai into some of the most sensitive positions in the U.S. government. First at the State Department, and now at the Pentagon, where, folks, she's in a position, it's not really a big deal. She's the chief of staff for the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations. No big deal. No biggie. So you mean our Spec Ops guys, that the chief of staff for the Assistant Sec Def over there for Special Ops, that the woman there who's the chief of staff is an alleged Iranian agent of influence? I don't know how the intelligence fits. It's such a puzzle. Such a puzzle. So strange, right? How do we know? Again, I got a lot of love for a lot of people, in the business and around who fight for the right thing, and their hearts are in the right place, even if I disagree with them. But this intelligence failure is fair game right now, not tomorrow. Make no mistake. Our primary goal right now has to be to stop these savages from doing what they did there here. Securing our homeland first should be priority number one. If you are under any illusions that these same savages are not here right now, may not have crossed our southern border, you're listening to the wrong show. You need to seek the help of a mental health professional immediately. But this intelligence failure, we may have fed an inordinate amount of very sensitive material to the Iranians who are using this for an attack here. I hope and pray that this show in the coming days and weeks and months, you listen to it and you go, man, Dan, thank God that never happened. Yeah, thank God is right. I'm not confident at all. I want you to listen to this. This is Robert Malley, Biden's Iranian envoy, who, again, is alleged to have supported, funded, and directed an Iranian intelligence operation designed to influence the United States. How could the intel have failed? Gee, I don't know. I want you to listen to him here. Here he is in an interview he gave a while ago, and I want you to listen to him justify the Hamas demons and how, these people, they got a cause too, You just got to hear them out. He doesn't understand the rule of the savage. Savage only understands death. So you should give it to them. He don't get that. Take a listen.
It's a mistake to only think of them in terms of their terrorist violence dimension. Their social political movements, probably the most rooted movements in their respective societies. Hamas, not a majority among Palestinians by any means, but very deeply rooted. It's been, it was born in the first Palestinian Intifada in the 1980s. It has deep loyalty. It has a charity organization, a social branch. It's not something you can defeat militarily either, and people need to understand that. There's so much misinformation about them. I mean, I speak to them, and my colleagues speak to them. Now, we may disagree with them, but they have their own rationality. That's one thing to understand. These are not, none of them are crazies. They may do things that we consider to belong to a different realm of rationality, but within their own system, it's often very logical. If Hamas is not allowed to govern, if we squeeze them, and you may have good reason for doing that, but if you do that, we'll tell you what the reaction will be. Rockets. No doubt. And consolidation of Hamas's power in Gaza. Both things have happened.
Yeah, they're rational, Jim, Hamas. Robert Malley said it. They're rational. They got their own reasons. Yeah, they've got reasons. Death. I'm going to say it for the next 2 hours and 15 minutes so you understand. The savage only understands death and pain. I don't want to live in that world. I don't like that world. I live in a wonderful place where my daughter gets a good serve over in a volleyball game, and God warms my heart in a way I can't describe. That's real love. I see the purples and the oranges and the sunset and the sunrises in the morning. And I think God gave us these beautiful sights for my eyes to see. The world's a beautiful place. If you focus on the beautiful, it'll be a beautiful place. But the savage doesn't know beauty. The savage only knows death. So you should give it to them. I don't want to give it to them. But it's the only thing they understand. Robert Malley doesn't understand that. Robert Malley, who I think we're going to find out a whole lot more about in the coming days and weeks, seems to think you can reason with the savage. Don't try that. You'll be dead. And if you're a woman, it'll be a lot worse before you die. I'll explain more about what I mean. We got a big show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Bongino.
If you're a timeshare owner, you're probably upset that your yearly dues continue to increase. With an A-plus rating at the BBB and over 900 five-star testimonials, Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. They're the only company you can trust, having helped over 18,000 owners legally and permanently get out. Call my friends today for a free, no-obligation consultation at 844-284-4864 or LoneStarTransfer.com.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Dan Bongino.
This is what's happening.
Citizens of Israel, we are at war.
The largest attack on Israel in a half century.
Surely President Biden will also support Israel as long as it takes to destroy Hamas.
101.9 and 94.1.
The United States stands with the people of Israel.
News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. We have an exciting new training opportunity available for public school and Christian school teachers. The Herzog Foundation Institute has partnered with the Bill of Rights Institute to offer 4 training events in 4 Missouri cities this year. These day-long professional development opportunities are best suited for middle and high school civics, government, U.S. history, and social studies teachers. Middle and high school teachers have a unique opportunity to strengthen civic knowledge and values for the next generation. We want to help teachers seize this opportunity.
Visit herzogfoundation.com/events to learn more and register for a Bill of Rights Institute training event near you. herzogfoundation.com/events. herzogfoundation.com/events.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s new country streaming now.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families, and you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-925-1596. 800-925-1596. 800-925-1596. That's 800-925-1596.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Monday, we'll have the latest on speaker stakes with former U.S. Senator Jim Talent at 425. Red State Update, Susie Moore, 525.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. News Talk STL.
The most informative 3 hours you'll have all day. The Dan Bongino Show.
Yeah, heavy show today, folks. And, someone just responded on Facebook and said, listen, we got to get to the meat. That is the meat of this. That intelligence failure I just told you about. There's likely going to be a straight line to Iranian infiltration operations going on in the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no way all those signs were missed. There's no way. That's a conversation we need to have right now because the penalties for it may happen right now. Folks, Christmas will be here before we know it. If you're looking for a really special gift this year, I encourage you to check out the firearms made right here in America by our friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Order a free holiday gift guide at henryusa.com and get free decals too. Folks, when you give someone a Henry, you're giving them a work of art that's built with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen. I have quite a few of these, including their survival rifle. Their performance is top-notch. My Henry rifles are accurate right out of the box. They shoot smooth and straight. They've been reliable ever since. With over 200 models of rifles, shotguns, and revolvers to choose from, there's something for everyone at Henry Repeating Arms, including outdoorsmen, hunters, beginners, collectors, and those looking for home and land defense options. These are family heirlooms. They can be passed down to future generations. They're that rugged. They're backed by a lifetime warranty. Put something made in America under the tree this Christmas. Go to henryusa.com to get your free gift guide and decals today. That's henryusa.com for a free gift guide and decals. You're going to love this company.
Dan Bongino.
Ladies and gentlemen, I spent most of the weekend explaining money to liberals, too, who, again, don't seem to understand or pretend not to understand. They really get it, that delivering a $6 billion wad of cash into a Qatari bank that the Iranians can access while chanting death to America and basically underwriting a massive massacre and terror attack inside of Israel, that maybe that isn't a good idea. They pretend not to understand how money works. Coming up after the break, I'm going to play for you our Secretary of State trying to defend this absurdity. And I want to warn you in advance. The audio I have coming up next, just like the video was on the podcast, is going to be difficult to get through. There'll be no enjoyment in today's show. But it's necessary, and I need you here. I'm asking you as a friend to you to stay, even though none of this is going to be fun. Because the only way to understand the language of the savage is to see it and to hear it. It's not going to be easy, but it's necessary. Told you, the savage only understands death. This is nothing we ask for, but death is what's going to have to be given to them. It's the only way this stops. They don't get anything else. They take advantage of power asymmetries and terrorism and guerrilla-type warfare tactics to rebalance the power they feel they lost. They don't believe in power from democracy and voting. The power comes through death and pain. That's it.
Well, it's fall, y'all. Time to give Hanson's Tree Service a call this fall. 636-379-1830. 24/7, always available at hansonstree.com. Fall is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds with that fantastic organic mulch in bulk from Hanson's. What else should you do? How about clear out all the overhanging trees, get rid of all the old stumps, generally clean up the homestead as we head towards Old Man Winter. They're standing by to help you today. 636-379-1830 or 24/7, always available at hansonstree.com. hansonstree.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewstalkSTL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Dealing with storm damage? Don't panic. Eureka Contracting and Roofing is here to help. With the recent storms, they understand it can be overwhelming. Remember, you don't have to rush into signing with the first door-to-door salesman. Don't let pushy sales tactics force you into a contract you're not comfortable with. Before making decisions, take a moment. Give the folks at Eureka Contracting and Roofing a call like I did for a no-pressure inspection. They'll assess the damage, determine if it's insurable. If it is, they'll guide you through the insurance process, and your only out-of-pocket expense will be your deductible. Eureka Contracting and Roofing, 636-938-ROOF, eurekacontracting.com.
I have only one recommendation for you when it comes to jewelry. Vincent's Jewelers. I've had Vincent's custom make some pieces for me. I've bought quality pieces right out of the case. Vincent's locally owned, supporting local charities for more than 42 years. Check their website daily for new items or specials. VincentsJewelers.com. VincentsJewelers.com. Give Vincent's a chance for your business. Vincent's, my only.
KLGY-HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. More than 2 days after Hamas launched its surprise attack from Gaza, the military said the fighting within Israel had largely died down for now. Iran has historically maintained strong ties with both Palestinian Hamas and Hezbollah. Republican Senator Tom Cotton says it's inexcusable that the Biden administration won't confirm that Iran is behind the attack.
I don't know what Tony Blinken and Joe Biden need. I mean, do they actually need the video of Ayatollah Khamenei meeting with Hamas leaders, telling them that they have the green light? I mean, Hamas is saying it, Hezbollah is saying it, Iran is saying it, Israel is saying it, and everyone knows that Hamas is a proxy, wouldn't even exist if it weren't for Iran.
Senator Cotton was interviewed by the Salem radio network. Also at townhall.com, Israeli tanks and drones have been deployed to guard breaches in the Gaza border fence to prevent new incursions. Thousands of Israelis evacuated from more than a dozen towns near Gaza, and the military summoned 300,000 reservists. That's a massive mobilization in a short time. Hamas, in turn, says it's ready for a long battle. The Pentagon sending a carrier strike group to the eastern Mediterranean in support of Israel.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordered the USS Gerald R. Ford to be ready to assist Israel. It's the Navy's newest and most advanced aircraft carrier and will be accompanied by cruisers and destroyers. The large deployment, which also includes other warships and warplanes, underscores the concern that the U.S. has in trying to deter the Mideast conflict from growing.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston with that report. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, an evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word faith to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Texas Congressman Cuellar carjacked in D.C., one of the latest high-profile crimes. And he's calling out those who are too soft on crime. And often that happens in blue cities. Dateline New York, A social justice activist walking with his girlfriend, just having a good time. A guy walks by. They're watching him. He turns around and looks at them and says, "What are you looking at?" And pulls out a knife. Well, the man does what he should do. Got between the guy with the knife and his girlfriend. The guy with the knife stabbed him repeatedly, leaving him for dead. And he died. And then you go to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A journalist who often was writing about the need for more gun control. Somebody got to him and shot him 7 times. No one should be happy about those stories. No one should say, served them right, they got what they had coming. But I do hope those stories wake up those who want more gun control on law-abiding citizens and those who think we should abolish police and jails. Now, what's your opinion?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hundreds of homeowners and businesses had or will have water main breaks. Wellington Environmental has a warning. You can clean up the water, but if you're not checking areas where the water leaked in the walls where you can't see it, you could end up exposing your family, your employees, your clients to hazardous mold. Wellington Environmental reminds you, if that mold is not detected, properly treated, removed, that is a risk, a liability you do not want. Wellington clients, including hospitals and schools, trust Wellington to make their environments safe. Call 314-644-4930. 644-4930. AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. 314-644-4930. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
This is Christina Straight with Straight Realty reminding you, why pay more than 4? In 2003, we had a dream to start a real estate company that would revolutionize the real estate market. Now, 20 years later, after navigating through the many markets' ups and downs, we know exactly how to help you in this challenging time. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Don't give away your hard-earned equity. Give us a call today, 314-441-4444, 314-441-all-4s. And remember, why pay more than 4?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. This hour of the Dan Bongino Show brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit STLFenceworks.com.
You to know that Commander-in-Chief Joseph R. Biden has put a lid on his schedule for the day. I haven't worked in a couple of White Houses. What does a lid mean? It means he's president. So want to know what it really means? It means the president's going back to his residence. Wrapping it up. You know, Jim, it's not like there's anything going on and we may need the commander-in-chief right now. It's not like there's any kind of a potential outbreak of World War III and the civilization versus savage war starting right now. It's not like we'd need a president for that or anything. So there's only 2 possible explanations. And I'll give you both because I did this for a living and it's only fair. And we'll know in the next coming days about the Biden lid. I'm not kidding, by the way. It's being reported by Fox and everyone else as a lid for the day, meaning president's done before noon. Done. One of them, because I don't like jumping the gun on stuff, I've seen this before, could be that the president is doing some kind of cryptic foreign trip somewhere he doesn't want anyone to know about. So it's a possibility, small one, but could happen. We'll know in the coming days. If that doesn't happen, then I just want you to understand that the only other possibility is the President of the United States actually stopped working at noon on a Monday while the world is on fire. I just want you to understand that. Like his buddy Obama when Benghazi was being attacked and he went to bed. I mean, well, it's whatever. I'll wake up in the morning and give me the update. Yeah, people are dead. We may need you to make a decision on that. Kind of that whole commandering and chiefing stuff. So, because the Bongino rule, I'm going to give the president the benefit of the doubt and assume he's traveling to the Middle East or something right now. Because I'm a smart, rational guy and I don't like to get out ahead of stuff. But let me tell you something. If I wake up tomorrow and the president's still in the White House, then I just want you to know that as of tomorrow, your president of the United States called it a lid at noon while the world is on fire. That's how little he cares about you or his job. I'm a radio host, folks. I know my place in the world. I'm honored you enjoy this show, but I'm a radio host. Can you imagine me on a day like today going, you know what, guys, there's not a lot going on. I'm going to turn it over to a best of. I'm kind of tired. I got a dental appointment later. I got things going on. It's important. I'm a radio host, bro. And I wouldn't do that to you. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But he better show up somewhere tomorrow morning. Because if he doesn't, put a little reminder here. Biden lid. There's going to be some splaining to do. I mean, they just gave the Death to America cult $6 billion. But it was their money. Oh, it was their money. Oh, really? So when the Death to America cult that profits causing proxy wars around the world, destroying any non-believer, anyone they deem a non-believer all around the world, we're supposed to honor commitments like they're going to go to small claims court for it? You gave them $6 billion, you a-holes. Are you that stupid? I want you to listen to our Secretary of State. Don't worry, he plays the guitar really good. I want you to listen to the Secretary of State try to explain away. While giving $6 billion to the Death to America cult, that's thought to have supported, financed, and logistics-wise and tactically-wise assisted the Hamas savages in their murder terrorism spree this weekend. I want you to listen to his explanation as to why the $6 billion. Don't worry, it's no big deal. We've been giving money to terrorists forever. Here, check this out.
What do you say about the argument that money is fungible? So Iran may have known this money is coming and used other funds to help fund this attack that happened.
Iran has unfortunately always used and focused its funds on supporting terrorism, on supporting groups like Hamas, and it's done that when there have been sanctions. It's done that when there haven't been sanctions, and it's always prioritized that. And again, I come back to the proposition that these funds have always been under the law available to Iran to use for humanitarian purposes.
That's a great argument, Tony. Jim, I'm going to go out of order. Cue up for me cut 10, if you would, because I just want you to see how Pentagon and government swamp mouthpieces repeat this stuff. But just to be clear, and Jim, if you think I'm wrong, please correct me, because it's not time for me to be a smartass. The argument here is, why did you give the government of Iran $6 billion, knowing that they are like the Death to America death cult? And his answer, if I read this wrong, let me know, please, is that, oh, don't worry about it. They've been supporting terrorism with money forever. Right? Is that, Jim, is that it? Mike, I'm not, you heard the same cut, right? Okay, all right. Yeah, you heard it while standing by. Yeah, you're right. Kind of a weird defense. But don't worry, people in the media are more than eager to parrot Pentagon and State Department talking points. Here's Jennifer Griffin from Fox, a noted Pentagon mouthpiece. She'll tell you whatever, she's like a puppet, whatever they tell her to say. Here she is with the exact same talking point. It's like magic. Check this out.
Well, I think, first of all, Neil, I think you have to push back on some of the statements in that statement from former President Trump. It is an exaggeration to suggest that there is any evidence that any of the money that was released as part of that hostage deal, that a lot of that money was tied up in, in goods. What I would say is that Iran has been funding Hamas across 4 presidents.
That's so, my gosh, that's so strange. It's the same. Yeah, she thought that was, she's like, who Jennifer Griffin, by the way, exposed giving you fake news a couple different times, especially with a bunch of stories during the Trump administration. Oh, yeah, they've been just funding terrorists forever. Oh, okay. So that's the Jennifer Griffin, Tony Blinken swamp argument? Don't trust anyone in the media. The argument is, don't worry about it. They've been using this money to kill non-believers for a long time, so no big deal. We've done this before. Oh, here, breaking news. Hamas allegedly has terror cells in the United States after entering the country via the southern border, creating fear of terror attacks in big cities over the next 14 months. Kind of sounds like something I told you over the last few months and this morning on the podcast. No, that wouldn't happen here. No, you're right. It's never happened here. Orlando, San Bernardino, 9/11. You're right. It's never happened here. Times Square. Never going to happen here. Never. I want you to listen to this. Listen, it's only sound. But sometimes sound can be sometimes the most intimate of the senses. Something about radio. But I need you to hear this. This is what that blood money funded. Oh, and it's blood money. It's money for blood. The savage only understands death. You give them money, they will use it to fund death. That's all. There'll be no nutraceuticals. They're not funding collagen supplements for arthritis patients. They're funding death. That's what your $6 billion went for. But it was their $6 billion. No, it isn't. No, now it is. Jim, cue up for me cut 4. Again, in case you're under any illusions about who the good guy and the bad guy is in this fight, you have a choice, civilized man versus the savage. You never go wrong on the side of the civilized man. Here's some audio of Hamas going house to house, murdering innocent Israeli civilians. I just want you to hear this. Check this out. Savage only understands death. That's her currency. It's her language. That video is even more disturbing. You can check it out on my podcast if you want. The videos are all there. I'm not sure you need it. I think the audio pretty much sums up what we're dealing with. Those are innocent people being shot up in cars on the street, doors being kicked down. Here's some audio of some demons, savages, Hamas demons. As they're kidnapping a bunch of young women. Let me paint this picture for you because you need to hear it. But you need to see it in what they call your mind's eye. Here's a bunch of demons. They threw a bunch of young women and children in the back of a truck. They wanted to kidnap them so they could torture them, stick them in tunnels, use them as human shields. For most of them, probably rape most of them. The kids too, by the way. Here's the chants as they throw the women and kids in the back of the truck. Take a listen. God is great. God is great. Well, God is great. I'm a broken old dude, man. Sat in church this weekend thinking about all the mistakes I made in life. Listened to the gospel this weekend and the homily, and I don't remember ever hearing about how Jesus Christ or God recommended we kidnap women and children, shoot them in the head, stomp their faces in, and rape them. I don't remember hearing that. I don't remember that. The first reading was about the vineyard. The second reading was from Paul. And the third reading was Jesus' tale of the vineyard. I don't remember hearing anything about collect women and children, kidnap them from their homes, brutally murder and rape them. I don't remember. I don't remember that one. That was missing. That's a savage you heard there. It's a savage. It's a demon. That demon only understands death and pain. So again, they should give it to him.